speed of advancing technology, another all too vital craft is left in the shadows of ancient relics. The Keymaker sequel is an innovative spiritual revival designed to awake and unlock the cosmos within by restoring the codes and commands of a vast organic mainframe that encompasses both Earth and your own personal universe. Join your host, Seven Boma, creator of the world-renowned platforms Astral Quest and Secret Energy, for an amazing adventure in uncovering life's greatest secrets that transcend beyond time and space.
And here we are again. Keymakers is live, and we're loving it, loving the connection, loving to be with you. We've been really on this all day just to come here and deliver something special. And we're going to just jump right into this. There's no delays. We're going to start off the way that we always do, the way we started off our existence, and that is with our ancestors, and that is in our honoring. And first, I wanted to say just thank you so much for being here and tuning in and spending this time with yourself. We believe all is self, so as we each tune each other up, then we see perfect reflections. This is, of course, the time that we all have an opportunity to not only connect and share with each other and to communicate, to see the ways that we're so similar, and also to learn in the differences that we've explored within ourselves. The Keymaker series is also designed to answer your deepest questions, to get you to fulfill your deepest desires, and to put you in a space of total harmony and fulfillment. And that's what we intend to do. So as we begin today, I first want to start off with a projection, a way for us to direct our energy into realizing exactly what we mean when we say our ancestors, and how where we end with our knowledge and with our minds is we don't know where nothing comes from or no thing comes from, but our sheer existence proves that it's real, that somehow we come from nothing. But when we start to fathom that with just a normal brain, we find that it's inadequate. And so too, oftentimes when we try to think about only our ancestors, just using our brains, they may be inadequate to allow us to be able to touch the space of where our ancestors truly are. They're not just in human bodies. They're not the ones who carried out human existence in the past, but there are in fact the beings that live behind the eyes of the myriad of characters that come into this plane to play their role. And for us to begin to focus on our ancestors locks us into our creativity, and it locks us into our own personal fruit that we deliver. And it connects us with what we truly came here for. It connects us with what we can do in abundance. And so with bringing that opening in that way, I wanted to introduce my brother Sven, who's going to come in and dial this space in for us, being very mindful that we come here for the healing. We also come here for the connection. And we want to do that in the proper order and the right way, so that way we can come and find the path very smooth for our feet as we come into that great awakening and connection. Wholeness, Sven.
Wholeness, brother. Wholeness, family. Wholeness, tribe. So I want to directly dial in to our uniqueness, and that this is the honoring for ourselves, for our ancestors, and for who we came to be here. So what I mean by this is when we let go of the mind and we start focusing ourselves on the more deeper meanings of what life truly means, what our uniqueness truly means. When we open these parts of ourselves, so when we start only focusing on these connections of within, the uniqueness, our craftsmanships, our skills, when we start mastering one thing, then and we let go of the mind, the monkey mind, like the doubt, the self-doubt, when we dial into self-trust and when we clean ourselves, that is an honoring to our ancestors. That is an honoring to our body. And when we start treating our body properly in a balanced way, then the uniqueness start coming much more cleaner, much more in a proper way. So the ancestors who lived through us, the more uh, high advanced purified ancestors, they can start dialing into our organic phone. I use this metaphor. Our body, a quantum machine, can dial into many frequencies, and many ancestors reside in there, so we can dial into anything what we want. But the thing is that it needs to be balanced, because this is for our children, because we will become our children as we are the ancestor again. So when our uniqueness starts coming through, when the purity starts coming through, our continuous lineages are guaranteed, and so we can start live in abundance and in pure sovereignty, which has been taken from us for quite a long time, and so we are coming to a point in this moment now where we start to remember and start to give credit to our magic of within, which I spoke about. This is purely divine, and we will be, as long as we keep on tuning into ourselves more and more, the synchronicities will keep on increasing, like I said, and we will be amazed by ourselves and by our children, who we are. So again, much honor and balance, brother.
Thank you, brother, for bringing that. It's amazing. We're also going to continue our honoring and just give respect to the space. And obviously, my brother is dialing it in. You know, he works to continuously allow us to stay balanced on the grids and to understand the work that goes into this, that goes on invisibly. It's very powerful and very important. And one of the things that we built on, just very briefly before we started the Keymakers today, was just how sometimes, especially as we're going through this past in our history, we can get sometimes locked into the terrestrial aspects of our existence, meaning just the emotional subsets and just the planetary subsets. And where we truly come from is beyond these spaces. And so I just want to give some advice. Don't lose your identity in all of this by trying to identify with something that you think is you, or the totality of you, when really you're everything. Always allow yourself to be available, and to realize that even if you've been dealt some damage on this dimension, that your other aspect of self is actually strengthened. And to bring those two into balance is what we are geared up to do here with the Keymakers, and to bring that healing. So I'm going to go ahead and take a moment and get the screen straightened, and get my brother Mark in here, who's going to bring us into the honoring. Just give me one quick moment here. And as we go into this honoring today, you know, it's Friday, you could be anywhere, right? And you've chose to be here and to be connecting with the tribe and to be making this move for yourself as we're going into the Sovereignty 2020, and that's sovereignty on all levels. So just know that the greatest indicator of your growth is the vibration that you find yourself around, because everything that you run into is the invisible reflection of your vibration. So that's another way to change it, is surround yourself by those higher intellects and balanced intellects, those greater spaces of energy, and begin to focus beyond and see beyond, as many already do, and then just stay in that connection, because that's where we are, and that's where we're coalescing this energy. And many are already saying that this is making the transformation for them. So if you're looking for that breakthrough, it's definitely here with you, just dialing into yourself and seeing these reflections and looking to see what you can benefit from this information and this wisdom that's being given. So we're going to go ahead and get into our honoring today before we get this thing fired up. Again, I'm super excited just to be here. So I'm going to dial it back a little bit and let us go ahead and get into this honoring today. And Brother Mark, you are ready to go, Brother Wholeness.
Wholeness. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being present, bringing your uniqueness to the forefront. And so let us put ourselves in the proper position to receive ourselves. And so we'll start by sitting, whether you're sitting in a chair, sitting on the floor, in half lotus, full lotus. Just allow your coccyx, the root of your spine, to be pressed gently into your seat. Go ahead and close your eyes and just allow your breath to begin circulating in the nose. Belly inflates, out the mouth as that belly compresses. Now be sure to place your hands on your thighs or on your knees with your palms facing upwards towards the sky, towards the ceilings, in receiving mode. Inhale in the nose, pulling the energy up, up through the body, through all your energetic centers, through your being. And as you exhale out your mouth, feeling yourself letting go of the previous moment, letting go of any thoughts and concerns and worries. Just be present. So following me, we're going to inhale deeply. And as you exhale, release in a deep expressive sigh. Exhale. Oh. Inhale again. And release. Oh. Feel the vibrations ripple through your being. One more time. Inhale. And release. Oh. Begin to soften as you take in more air. We give thanks for this moment. We give thanks for life. We give thanks for us ancestors. Let us prime on all cylinders now. So follow me with full circuit breath. In the nose, out the mouth. In the nose again, out the mouth again. In the mouth, out the nose. In the mouth again. Out the nose again. In the mouth, out the mouth. In the mouth again. Out the mouth again. In the nose, out the nose. In the nose again. Out the nose again. Inhale and release through the mouth. Feeling that breath circulate through your being. And give thanks for our connection. This tribe connection, this tribal connection. Merging in further and further synchronicity, how we share this energy collectively. Our uniqueness coming to the forefront. Give thanks for the fire, the elements, the element, the heat of change, of transmutation. The fire in our belly, the fire in our gut. the same flame which digests our food for assimilation, the flame of our will, which burns through thoughts, burns through desires to bring us further and further into the experience. Give thanks for the fire, Aho. We give thanks for the waters, the rivers, the oceans, the rain, all the expressions of water. We give thanks for the water in our being, the blood, the vital fluids, the cerebral spinal fluid, our saliva, our lymph. How the water is always receiving us as we are with our intention. So let us breathe love and gratitude into our waters. The water always shows us to be humble and bow our head, always going with the flow. Give thanks for the waters. Aho. As we breathe, we give thanks for the wind, the air, showing us what it means to be completely uninhibited, unrestricted, and free. As you inhale, give thanks for the wind, the air in your consciousness, the expansive nature. How with another breath, you can shift frequency, shift timelines in an instant. Give thanks for the air, Aho. We give thanks for the element of earth, of stone, the crystal, the rock, and the entire mineral kingdom, for its consistent, steady vibration, showing us what it means to be a foundation, the trees. And we give thanks for the element of earth in our physical structure, the tree in our bones, the salts in our blood, and in those same bones and in the bone marrow. This crystalline structure in our skeleton and our teeth, holding the vibration for us. Give thanks, Aho. And so let your awareness now gently rest on the center of this earth, the core of this planet. As you inhale, breathe this energy in from the core of the planet up through your central channel, your central current, filling all your energetic centers from root to crown, a full spectrum, multicolored light. And as you exhale, breathe this energy and let it sink into and soak into your outer biofields, your auric field, your meridians, the chakras, all the energetic centers, the nadis connecting all the energetic centers. Inhale up. Exhale, sinking into the cells, each cell, the mitochondria, the nerve cells, the fat cells, deeper and deeper into our DNA. This crystalline light structure tethering us throughout time as we awaken our original blueprint. The originals, us ancestors. Inhale again, up from the core of this planet, up your central channel, your central currents. And this time through the crown to 36 inches above your head. Feel the space fill with that force, with that energy. As you exhale, feel this space slightly expand like a flower unfolding. We make ourselves available for the wisdom, guidance, protection, and healing in this now moment, which is not a moment in time. Inhale again from the center of this earth, from the core of this planet up, filling this space 36 inches above your head. Exhale further, allow the energy to fill this space. Bring your awareness now to every being sitting here in attendance, sitting here in this collective resonance, in full presence. Give thanks for our connection. Send your love to every being in attendance. The highest possible outcomes, or balanced outcomes. And finally, bring your awareness now to rest in your heart space. Inhale this light from the center of the earth into your heart space. And feel the connection of all the heart spaces in attendance in this moment, which is not a moment in time. As you exhale, feel this heart space expand in all directions. Breathe in again into your heart space. Exhale and expand your heart to include all energetic centers and expand your field in all directions. From this centeredness, from this place, this space of centeredness, we make ourselves fully available in the proper perception, with the grand receptions of wholeness. We give thanks for us ancestors. We give thanks for the energy, the synchronicity, the confirmation along the path as we access the divine frequencies. We give thanks for our connection as tribe. This beautiful, massive effort, how we all come here together, establishing our own collective resonance, our own sphere of manifestation, expanding to include our entire reality. Aho. And so as you start to slowly open your eyes millimeter by millimeter, know that nothing has changed. This heart space is open. The field is ripe and fertile. We are here and available for each other. Love. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, brother, for leading us into that space. I want to keep the tribe here on the line for a moment. I do want to address the rest of tribe that is tuned into this call today, to let you know that you are extremely felt in an unseen way. We have to really get familiar with understanding that the greatest things and the most powerful things we can't see. And we've talked about that so many times. And this air we can't see, but it's so powerful. And when we choose to take that breath and we choose to connect, we feel that connection. And before we, go into today's beautiful presentation and the connection that we're going to share, I just wanted to let everybody know that I have something very special for you. Well, actually, it wasn't by me that you received it. You already have it. And it's just very special for me to remind you again that you do, and that's your uniqueness. And I just wanted to center around that for a moment and let everyone know that that's in their houses, in their homes, in different places. They're in their cars. And just to let you know that this tribe can feel you. Like we know you're there, and we have a connection with you. You're not just experiencing that alone, or you're not just experiencing that and that's your own personal experience. No, it's a collective experience. And as we bring ourselves more into the awareness of that, and we continuously use our uniqueness to create these spaces, it brings us all together. And I just wanted to let everybody know that you're equally as responsible as we are for doing that, for allowing yourself to be available and to connect into your synchronicity. If that's where you should be, if something is saying, hey, I gravitate there, do your best to be in that position, because truthfully in all of this, there's a lot of knowledge and there's things that happen all day, right? But it's still you running through the space. No matter how fast you run in one direction, you still really only go in a circle, because we're spirals in that respect. But there's another part of us that identifies beyond the language and beyond everything or anything that we can learn in this earthly space. And that is our uniqueness. That's that part of our fingerprint that is different than everybody else's. That's the retina on our eye that's different than everybody else's. And what that is that's your fruit. And it's important for us to realize that while we do have our totem animals and our emotions that we correspond to, we also have those trees, that are always holding space. And in those trees is a massive connection with who we are and how we function and how we connect with each other. And just the roots of trees give us enough to understand that the deeper we go, the more that we can connect. And we chose to open up this Keymaker space together so we can go really deep, so we can have a firmer connection as we go into the future. Even within our tribe, in our group, our ambassadors, our specialists, et cetera, we do our best to put our families together. We do our best to talk with each other daily, to get a regular conversation going on beside, what star cluster is about to run over what parallax or whatever, just a real conversation about how are you doing, how's your family doing? We invite you to join into that. And if you ever feel like, maybe you don't got it, or maybe it's not going to be this life for you, or anything that is coming against you and as an assail, which is just resistance in itself, just to get you stronger. If it's assailing you at all, always remember your uniqueness, because you have it. It's not something that someone can give to you or take away. And just like I said, the trees have their own fruits. You notice when a tree bears fruits, it's got an unlimited amount. Like here in Costa Rica, it's mangoes on the ground. In the US, they're about $5 a mango. And it's just because, in the abundance of what we have, we can continuously produce it. But when we're producing something that's not what we're supposed to be producing, then it's going to be tough. It's going to be costly, right? It's going to be a lot of waste involved. And so as the tribe continues to come together and we find ourselves locking into our uniqueness personally, we also find our position in what we're doing. So that's all I wanted to say. There's more, obviously, but I just wanted to make sure the space is very clear, because I really felt the connection. I felt the plug-in. Thank you so much for those who are leading the meditations, those who are holding the space, working the grids, and making sure those connections happen, because these times are as important as we make them. Like years have gone by, but truly, if we choose to put everything into this moment, then it's the most valuable. So I just wanted to say welcome. Thank you so much for participating. It really does mean something. We're not just back here, like on remote control or robots. We're real people, and we really do care, and that's what puts us in this space. So wholeness, aho. All right, so we're going to take a minute to just transfer screens, and then we're going to go ahead and get this thing kicked up again. It's Friday night. Just a beautiful meditation. I just wanted to coast out into that space, maybe do a little sauna and say it's so long for the evening, but that wouldn't get it crunk like it's supposed to be. So we're going to go ahead and get it started. Just give us a moment. We're going to adjust our screens. All right, tribe. So whoever's gonna be on the call for today, then you're gonna remain. And those who are gonna be holding space in the wing, then you're gonna go to the wing room and get equipped. And we're gonna ride this thing in. We're gonna ride it for about an hour and a half from now. That's our target. And we're gonna look to do some rapid fire, get some real questions and deliverance going on. Like we're gonna be enigmatic tonight. So that's what's going on. So let me see.
Wow.
Wholeness, brother. Top speed.
Top
Wholeness,
speed.
brother.
Rock the show. Wholeness.
Now.
Wholeness.
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 I want this, y'all. Much love, y'all.
You. Whew.
Okay.
Ooh, power.
Top speed.
Oh.
Here we go. All right, so let's take it on in. Here we go. All right, there we go. All right, so, all right, lots of energy moving through, so we're going to keep rolling with that energy. I'm going to just take a quick moment to make sure that all my lines are clear. And let me just take a quick moment. Let me get my thing tightened down. I'm just super excited. There's been so much going on. Oh my goodness. Let me take some more breaths. Take some more breaths. Okay. All right, tribe. I thank you so much for being patient. We just want to make sure that we get everything launched off properly and that it sounds good. All right, here we go. Okay, so I think someone is saying they may be getting a black screen. So maybe that's over now. They should be actually seeing everything, but I'm going to wait for a confirmation just to make sure the switcher's not stuck. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and begin. I know I was like, okay, when are we going to begin? Did you say that one more time? So, this is rapid fire today. We're going to actually bring some massive healing. We're going to get these questions answered, and we're going to go in on this very heavy. We're going to see where it's going to take us. Today we're all about that healing. So that means we need to go into those spaces where that healing is needed the most. Obviously, we wanted to design this Keymaker series, so there's some input, giving you the opportunity to actually call in, ask questions, type your questions in the chat. Do what you do to see if you can get that clarity that you're looking for. But I already feel like even after that first meditation, we got everything we need. So going on from here, it's just all love, all joy. And because of that, that means that we're going to have to get it started at some point. So we're going to do it. So I'm going to start off actually with questions. We've done so much. We talked about uniqueness. We talked about the depths of really going into just that side of yourself or that whole of yourself that really connects with everything and why you want to do that. We let you know why we're really feeling you and why we're really feeling this experience. It motivates us. It drives us to go forward. And that's what's up. So I'm going to let Isaac come in on this and see what he's got ready to feed in on this, or see if anybody has some initial thoughts on a takeoff point for us so we can get this train started.
All right. Brother, do we have a manifestation suite on the Secret Energy store?
Yes, we do. We actually have a frequency configuration of a manifestation suite.
A frequency configuration.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have an inquiry to what is the best way to use this manifestation suite?
That one's addressed directly at me. I guess, honestly, we just went through a manifestation suite. So it's about dialing in. And, maybe Mark can give us some pointers on, just understanding what you really want to do before you get into that suite. Some people expect it to be like a genie in the bottle, like they just push play and then manifestation just start coming in out of nowhere. But you got to dial that space in, right? So, Mark, you got some pointers about just dialing it in so they can put themselves in the proper position to really receive that manifestation frequency that comes off some of those tracks?
Yes, for sure. And I do want to say that my path with the meditation, I did begin with those frequencies, so tuning into frequency. So if we're talking about manifestation, what you're going to create in your reality, what you're going to create, magnetize into your reality, I would really, get into the space as we just did with the meditation. Get into the space, and you'll know when you're there. You know what that space feels like. It's that fertile field where it's like if you move a little bit, you're gonna feel the static pick up because that's how charged it is, right? So that's the space we're talking about. Now, once you're sitting in it, just tune in, focus in on your excitement. When you focus in on your excitement, that will give you the lead into what the manifestation is asking to become in your life. You want to respond to a need. The reason why this is so important is because you don't want to just be projecting from smaller self tendencies. You want to really, something that's going to propel you over and over to bring this manifestation to life. Every creation must be managed. So when you're tuning into those spaces and you're using the frequencies, feel it. Where does it land in your consciousness? Where does it land in your being? However you interface with yourself, it could be through the body. It could be through idea, being receptive. When you're sitting in the space, things will land. Where does it land for you? Some things will land and make you feel good. Something will be good, but not quite. Find that frequency, find that excitement, and move forward from there, because that excitement is intrinsically connected to your uniqueness. So continually focusing in on that excitement, you'll definitely manifest what's needed.
Beautiful, beautiful. But I'm just going to go ahead and take one quick moment, just because it seems like maybe our switcher is acting up a little bit. I just want to confirm, because some are saying they have some black screens. Some are saying that it's okay on their end. So I'm just going to take a minute to let the stream breathe, and just reiterate, what the brother is saying is, being able to dial into those spaces first, getting yourself in the proper mood, just like we just did before this conversation, taking that time for yourself. You always have this recording, so you could do those guided meditations by just hitting replay, get very familiar with how to loosen yourself properly to receive the energy, and know that you're, this vessel. So I'm going to work with this because some are saying for sure they're getting the black screen. So let me see what's up with the stream and see if I could get us back online here. 1 second.
Yeah, while you do that, brother, I do want to add to it, because you do bring up a great point, is that once you know that you can manifest, I feel that, first you start recognizing that you can manifest. You trust that you have that ability. Like, oh, snap, I spoke that into existence, and then it happened, right? Then it becomes, what will I manifest, right? So what do I actually want to create? Now that you have the creation ability, that deep, we can know it in our thoughts, in our mind, but then you dig in deep and like, yo, I know I have this power. And it's powerful. So what will I create with it? So that's why tuning into the space first and foremost what needs to be created will become abundantly clear, or at least the next step. And if you can follow that thread, that vibrational thread, you'll be led into what's needed, what's being asked of you, what is exciting for you, where you're being guided.
And brother, what is really fun in this now moment as I feel into it, is how close manifestation and that excitement really are. I mean, right to each other. They're right on top of each other. Because as I feel into this space, into my present excitement, I'm excited to be here with you. And this is a manifestation. This is it right here. This is something that was a vision for me, and I imagine for all of us, and now we're here. And so that excitement and that manifestation are the same thing. And as far as everyone we're connected to right now, I'd love to hear what you're excited about, what may be connected to your uniqueness. So are we ready for another question?
Yeah, let's get it going fast.
Okay, cool. This might be coming right back to you, Mark, honestly. But this question has everything to do with that creative, orgasmic energy, if you will, and talk about excitement. So the question is, should I not have any fornication or sex to maintain my energies, to keep my energy levels up?
When they say okay, so no sex, I would, you want to go into sex consciously, but sex is such a creative space, man. Like that is where it's all happening. We having sex all the time, bro. like
right now,
you start mixing and mingling, the energy starts mingling. You gotta know how to have sex in the sense of what's being given and what's being received, you know. So often it's about the purity of intent coming into it. It's about the full reception that you're trusting your partner completely. And you also want to be mindful. I mean, when we get into sex, there's a lot of things to be mindful of. So for the man, definitely not spilling the semen, not just ejaculating. There's a certain cycle that each man gets attuned to, like when it is okay to ejaculate, but essentially that is massive current that's being spilled every time. And you just got to know when you're doing that and why would you do that. And for the woman, knowing her power as a creator, like everything she receives, it does get created. So some of the most massive manifestations I have seen and witnessed in my life and in others, simply between the connection between man and woman. When the man has that pure heart, though, that purity of intent, and he has that clear awareness about what seed he's planting, and the woman says, yes, I accept, that thing is created immediately. That thing is created instantly, because that's just the power of that richness, that fertile field, and especially woman's power as creator. So it's not, I would definitely don't say not have sex. I would say, because I do understand the celibacy, that pathway. I understand it. I understand when it's time to compress the energy, keep it within yourself, build that inner fire. It just, you need to know the cycles of yourself, so when is it time to actually get into that connection with another. I will also say that we have, on this path, we have so much energy that we experience by ourselves, but there's nothing like experiencing something with another person. Like when we come together, you bring something that I couldn't just do by myself. This experience is so rich, so when you get into the sexual act with another, it makes the experience of energy, just the felt experience of energy, so tangible. And going into that ocean together is a beautiful thing, but you really have to be, I would approach it like you would approach training. Like I would approach it that, my brother Shalom, he shared with me that the only way you'll know if you can trust someone, is because you've went through training with them, so if you want to get into that deeper aspect, because energetic cords are created, a lot happens in that connection. So you want to make sure that there's trust, there's a real universal love, and that you're going in with that purity of intent, and really for that rich experience, because a lot of manifestation does come from that. Even on Kali, the 3 ways of attainment. So episode 1 of the Keymakers, Kali, the 3 ways of attainment, one of them was Shakti. So that Shakti energy is, I mean, it'll get you there. It'll open up so many gates within yourself and within your own consciousness. So I wouldn't close the door to it. But if you're feeling like you need to purify that sexual energy or your experience with sex, there's a lot of deprogramming that needs to be done. There tends to be certain patterns that occur for man and woman, like certain patterns that tend to happen. So that would have to be looked into. The sacral healing, the root healing, trust is big. And there's a lot I love relationships. So I'm going to leave it there for now. So if we have more relationship questions come up, I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah, I imagine we might, but just to fill into that, just one bit more, we can give and we can receive, but maybe feeling into the perspective of sex as something that you're sharing, and maybe that is a way to build energy when you share it. So we could move on. Are we ready to go?
Thing real quick.
Okay.
A suggestion for a book. I read an amazing book called The Mandalay Manuscript, The Sex Magic of Isis and the Alchemies of Horus. A really good book that goes into the energy that is cultivated when you do share that experience of sex. So there's a lot of potential there that can actually allow us to not only experience one another, but also to rise our energies and become into a more activated state as a being.
Thank you. We do have a question that is focused on truth. Now, what is truth? But the question is truth relative or is it absolute? I feel I was gonna go to Sage or Paige on this one. So whoever wants to kind of run at that.
Kind of come in really quick. This is crazy. I met someone recently, and they just asked me that question, and that's like their focus point in their journey. This relative versus absolute truth, and it's really interesting to hear that question come full circle. I'll be very brief because I want other people to talk on this topic because it's really a big topic. I would say there are so many aspects. The way that I personally have experienced truth in my life is I'm very open. I'm a life path 9. So I see, I try to find the truth in everyone's truth by using empathy and compassion. So whenever someone says something to me, or presents their truth, I find I can use empathy to kind of bridge that gap, if that makes, and then from there of course there are higher truths which kind of encompass the larger picture, like things like energy is there's an absolute amount of energy that is present and it transforms and moves and shapes and shifts in many different ways. To me, that's a higher truth. But every relative truth that someone shares is relevant to their life. That's why it's their truth, right? However, you can relate to it and you can honor it without having to own it as your own.
Paige, did you want to run at that or no?
Well, me being a life path 7, on my journey, it is what it is. It's about wisdom and truth. And I know it's both absolute and relative. Your truth is not my truth. We all know that there is a absolute truth about the nature of reality, actuality, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, it's both. It's absolute and relative. You might be doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, I guess, in this lifetime. You're not being true to yourself. And that's not walking in your truth. You're doing something that goes against what you have been called to do. But for me, if I decide to do something that I've been called to do, then that's me walking in my truth. But we all know that there's an absolute truth about who we are, what we're attached to, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Paige. And earlier you said you connected wisdom to that word truth. And with wisdom, I connect that to experience, feeling your experience and what you can gather from that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I wanted to introduce something. I guess shout out to the Star Seeds. Someone is asking if there's any other Blu-ray family here. So I want to introduce that, and we can fill into that. If we have a response for that sometime, we can get after that. But while we're on feeling into your experience, I also feel that knowing, my inner sense of knowing is a feeling. It's feeling. So we do have a question that asks, how do you know that you're connecting to your higher self? I'll say a little something before I open it up to the brothers and the sisters. Very special person to me, who was huge in my growth. What she told me, and it really resonated, was that when you are connecting with your higher self, it won't be pushy necessarily. It'll be consistent, and it'll be calm, versus maybe your mind might change its mind on what it's delivering to you, and it might be this type of energy. So that's something that I've felt into, and it's resonated with me. Do we have anything from the brothers and the sisters on this one?
Yeah, man, this actually gets into even the truth, the truth aspect, the relative truth and the absolute truths, which is, man, it's actually really important to, especially within the conscious community, when we got to be very gentle with concepts, but then certain things just got to land on the ground fully, like both feet on the ground, landed. And one of those truths that I always come to, and if I'm explaining something to somebody, I'll say, yo, we all come from the same source. So with that being said, any idea of support and division is sending you on another path. So with tuning in and listening to a higher interfacing with a higher or a more expanded version of yourself, or us ancestors, it would come from that space. It would come from that space. And so you can feel it. You'll feel the reception. You'll feel the knowingness in your being. You'll feel the ease. You'll feel the clarity. If it feels complicated, confusing, if it feels, and sometimes that's just our perception of it as well. It's like we may not be ready to receive the message, and you got to honor that within yourself as well. But just knowing those absolute truths, how information, what is the high quality information, right? What is that high quality knowing? What does that feel like when it hits you in your being?
Any other takers? Yeah, please.
I would like to say one thing on the higher self conversation. What I used to do about a year ago, not that long ago, 2 years ago even, is talk to myself, have dialogue with myself, have feedback. Whenever I'm in a situation, I need guidance. Instead of reading a book or instead of going online, just ask, hey, I'm in this situation. I'm not sure what to do. What's happening? Be quiet, sit for a moment and see what comes to you. And then I would say it out loud as if it's me. And it is me, because all the self and the higher self, it still has itself in it for a reason, right? And oftentimes it speaks in this very inner knowing, this very strong and consistent, like you said, knowingness. But when you say it out loud, it begins to take on an embodiment of sorts, to where you can act as your higher self instead of either externalizing it or not being able to hear it quite. So that's how I practice that process.
And we have a very, very honest question that is regarding fear in their experience. The question is, how can I lose fear of seeing negative entities in the dark? And how can I make sure that I don't allow my vibration to be brought down by seeing a negative entity in astral projection? And if anyone wants to touch that, I'm curious as to, I guess why, like what is actually feared here. But does anyone, feel that they have something to offer on this?
Feel is once you understand it. When you understand what the fear is about and where it's coming from and why, your perception of it is creating this fear in your being, then that fear will go away. That doesn't mean that something will automatically be harmonic for you, but now you understand it, you know where it needs to be, it needs to be in a certain space. So getting into that non-judgment, clear, non-reactionary state in your consciousness, instead of going into absolute reacting from fear, because how will an energy interface with you to let you know its vibration? You're going to feel it or perceive the information in some way. So that's going to come through as something that doesn't feel harmonic. And if you clench up or start to react from that interfacing, that perception, then that's reacting from fear. But instead of just perceiving what it's about, and then making a clear decision from that space. That would be the way, I would say. So go ahead and just understand it with that clear face, non-judgment space.
Excuse me. Everybody on my side was able to hear that, but unfortunately publicly they couldn't hear it because I mute my mic. So I will just say it one more time, that you have to also look at your space and clean your space. And this is because generally when you're seeing distorted forms, as we talked about in astral hygiene, these forms are projected directly from the consciousness at times. So even if you're putting yourself into a state, let's say, I guess the question would need to be elaborated on a little bit further sometimes, because you can say to the person, hey, where are you seeing this at? And if they say, well, at the cemetery where I do my meditations, then it's almost like, okay, well, there it is. Or if it's, at this house that, they sell drugs. And so that's what can cause that reflection to be that distorted. Also, let's say the practice itself or the craft that's being used incorporates those kind of entities. And maybe if the person is saying, how do I learn how to brave these kind of entities and forces, I would still ask for a deeper search within self to see if you're actually going in the right direction, if you've gained enough to begin to deal with those kind of entities, especially seeing that there's a certain level of fear. So in shamanism, you're ready to confront these entities on that level, which is through healing. Like, let's say, for instance, you're healing someone, there is a distorted vibrational form around them. So a healer's work is to remove that form and to put it in its proper place. So it's not like a Sith Lord battle and you kill it and destroy it. What they do is they take this energy and put it in its proper place. So in that, we have to imagine that for ourselves personally, if you're seeing anything, it's coming, it has to be coming from you. You have to push it through your own projection. So cleaning your space and raising your vibration is the perfect way to actually see the perfected versions of those forms, to understand what they really are. And then overall, conquering unseen things. Because even if somebody is, or something is, let's say, handsome or beautiful, if it walks out on you and you never seen it and didn't expect it to be there, it actually will startle you the same way. So the deeper levels of going into yourself really connect into stuff like regular activities, going scuba diving or just snorkeling, where there's a constant unexpected happening. Because generally, if you find yourself scared of those kind of forms, you'll probably find yourself scared of things like turtles and other animals. And so just getting more familiar with the geometries and just yourself when you're going through, hey, I don't know what's in here, but I'm going to get through that space. That's where the training and the practice comes in at. And then also we will, because I see like it's every question we answer, there's about 20 questions that come in. So let's see what we can do for them in this next hour.
All right.
Can I say one very quick thing? I had to fear the dark for many, many, many years. It sounds crazy, but I was afraid of the dark for years. Things that help, no scary movies. I had to cut it out until I could handle it. Because it's a program and it gets implanted in your brain.
We consent to that. We consent to every frequency in that thing by watching it.
Exactly.
And your mind is photographic, and it loves to bring out Buddy hanging up on the roof and all that. It loves to bring that out right when you go in on your diamond tree or something. So yeah, just watch what you're pushing into that portal.
Yeah, feeling into what you allow in those portals, whether they be your eyes, your ears, your mouth. Beautiful. Well, this one is from my heart. Truly personal for me. And we're going to honor a question from Corinda. And I first just want to thank you for your love that you've been sending to me. It is seen. I see you, I feel you, and I give thanks to you. So welcome to this tribe. Your question was about keeping your concentration. You know what your goal is right now. It is you just became a specialist. Welcome to that. And you're in the university. So definitely encourage you to keep going in on that. But as far as your old pain of feeling unwanted as a child and feeling that now, I will say to you, you are so wanted here. You're needed here. And I honor your presence here. And thank you for your love again. If does anyone else want to address this?
We just want to say we love you.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, Corinda.
Love you.
Yeah. Thank you, Corinda. Wholeness.
You don't understand the impact you have on other people's lives, you know, and you sometimes feel like you're not worthy or you're not good enough or you're not enough. And that's the fears that you have to face within yourself, is you have to love yourself enough and realize that you are enough. And that's why you're here, is so that you can shine your light and that you can be a light for others and help them along their path as well. So we're here empowering others.
Absolutely. And also our responsibility is also to show you love as a being, as a citizen of humanity, as a citizen of the cosmos and the universe. That's all coming together. It is our duty to also to show you that love, because it is truly, we're looking at a magnificent being, you know, and it's really that. And so also there was a question earlier, not to go completely back, but there's a question earlier about how to, you know, about the higher self. And it was like, how do you know you're in contact with your higher self? You have to really examine your consciousness to see what is telling you you're not in touch with your higher self. You really want to go at it that way these days, because these connections, such as the higher self, etc., are all natural connections that never sever their connection. So sometimes when we feed ourselves, oh, I need to go and get to this, you know, that's how we pull ourselves away from it. So just, you know, chiming in on the whole thing, feel loved, feel great, because you are. Like, you're containing these components, these talents, these gifts. And that's what I was saying in the beginning, because I felt that connection. I felt that connection with everyone. That's why I said that's our duty, because it dials us in, it brings us online. But just as that, if you still feel like, well, you know, that's just what they're saying, they just want to say things that make me feel good, because that comes next, right? The brain's always got another one for you to stick you back in that frequency. And when you feel like that, just look at your hand and look at that fingerprint. You know, that may be some of the connection with why people say, if you can look at your hands in lucid dream, then you can get unlocked. And it's just because that fingerprint right there shows your uniqueness. And sometimes these negative energies, which are, again, just the force that's sharpening you so that you can get into that true awareness of yourself, they'll try to beat you up in the corner with just the continuous barrage, because the brain moves pretty fast. But always remember, you look at that hand and look at that unique fingerprint and say, well, I produce fruit. And this fruit everybody wants. Because have you ever noticed that even before barter, there was no system before barter, because everybody had access to the same thing. So there's no reason to trade. Then barter comes in because different people have different things. Now we're all the way to capitalism. But remember, the path down that, the distilled essence of that, is each person has a unique fruit and nobody else has it. So if you're sitting over there feeling like, hey, you know, I don't know what's happening with me in reality, I'm just encouraging you to know that you're looking to unlock that unique ability. You're already on the right path by starting the specialist training. We put in sovereignty training so you can get dialed in, give yourself some real timelines to work with, so you're not, you know, just you know, just coasting along. And then just know your brothers and sisters are here to actionize what your dreams are by filling in the necessary spaces that give you the faith that's needed to let you know, okay, this is really going to work, because it also worked for him, it also worked for them, etc. So we like to make it really clear, but that's what's going on. Just sending you love and letting you know we're here for you and connecting with you.
And feeling into that uniqueness. You know, Sister Paige dropped that she's a life path 7 a little bit earlier in the conversation. That piqued some of our interests. There's a question referring to life paths. You know, what is that? Is that the life that you are to live? Is that about your birth numbers? And I don't know if we got any breadcrumbs that lead to genealogy. how do we want to address this?
I can explain it just very fast without getting, elaborating on the entire system. And many are familiar with the human design. There's another system that's called Life Paths, and what it's based on is summarizing the numbers that are in your birthday and then simplifying them to the number. So you just add everything up and then simplify it to the first digit number. Life Paths are 1 through 9. And what it's about, because there's been a lot of study on the system of the 9, which we're calling enealogy. And the system of the 9 basically states that there's 9 personality types here on the planet. And within those 9 types, there's really nothing outside of that except for the combinations of those paths. So it gives a really good place to start. Not just that you're looking at something and saying, oh, that's me, even though that happens a lot, but also to look at understanding how other people function and how to get into massive communication. Because anytime we engage with someone, even in this conversation, we're looking for something to happen. Let's say that's the motive. Even if the motive is to heal you, it's motive nonetheless. So with that motive, it's very important for us to see that the next thing that actually comes with that for us is for us to push that motive into the actual connection, right? So in a nutshell, I guess what I'm saying is that we all have this opportunity to allow ourselves to connect and to identify with who we truly are. And yeah, let me just give a moment for somebody else to take that question. I just realized that something else was going on over here. Just totally throw me off, but
okay.
Who else wants to give something on that? Excuse me.
Yeah, I could say
Go.
real quick that,
Yeah, please, Mark.
We are limitless, but here in, within the experience that we're having now, it's there should be there's a pattern, there's a pattern at work, there's a pattern at play. And we've been here, long enough with enough knowledge to understand that, okay, we're coming through with a certain blueprint. And so with many systems, whether they're the astrologies, numerology, human design, and the enealogy, it's essentially getting it to what are the fundamentals and how do they interact amongst each other, and what is the progression of a lifetime. So to me, it just comes across as, hey, we understand that because we're in the limited, so to speak, within this experience, there should be where's the whole thing? Show me the whole thing. How do they all interact together? It's really about just understanding that there's a pattern at play, and man, it's simple as that.
Absolutely. And thanks for taking over, Mark, because I did have to, grasp my train of thought real quick from that last event. But just to summarize, enealogy, because, when you first begin, let's say, in bringing any kind of knowledge or message, especially these days, you'll find that people don't really want any boundaries. They want to explore the limitless, start over. But then there's a certain point where people ask for more shape, more form, more order, if you may. Like, what direction are we going? What am I believing in, per se? And especially the young people that are just coming into this. So we started using life paths early on, and it was very effective for us. I used it when I did life coaching. It gives me a really good place to start with the person and start to work through that process. But just like with the human design, you find that you may have evolved beyond a life path. You will recognize generally in that life path yourself, that archetype yourself, but you may find that you moved on a little bit. And so again, enealogy becomes very important for examining other characteristics because, as I was stating earlier, since everything is stemming around communication and there's a motivation, that means when you set out to do something, you want to succeed. So if I go and if I build myself up to talk to somebody in the store, or build myself up to go into a place and try to get a job, or whatever kind of engagement that I'm going into, if I was to truly arm myself properly, I would know who I was going to be communicating with, because not everybody communicates on the same level. And just learning enealogy, not just for yourself, but to really understand the mastery of the 9, puts you in a perfect position as a communicator, because when you start talking to a person within the first 3 sentences, you can really understand where they're coming from or what path they're really on. And if you're looking to actually have a breakthrough with that person or to get the conclusion of your motive happening, then you want to speak to them in the language that they speak in. And so there's one aspect of our character that kind of just runs over things, and we just express ourselves in we believe in our sitting back behind these eyes that we're doing the best job. But to even be more accurate with that, we learn things like life paths and enealogy in our study of really self, because at the end of enealogy, which is what we teach and what we believe, is that you can combine all these forces and basically master the wheel of the cosmos, because the life paths are also very similar to the zodiac. So let's say the zodiac is just a character, but what you are is the entire composite being. And learning each character, and this is summarized, I believe, a lot more proficiently than astrology at times. If you can know all of those paths, then you can also know where to move next and also know who you're contacting and who you're communicating with. So it's just very powerful for knowing the next step on your journey.
So we do have a caller that we're warming up, which we're almost ready for. But
Okay.
just to piggyback on exactly what we're talking about, there's a specific question, and it's regarding life paths. And this person has heard of life paths as a way to describe why you do a thing. He would like to know, is it a potential for stunting your growth by, identifying with it alone?
It's not really designed like that. It's not one of those, this is why you do what you do. It's more of like, this is because you always have to put yourself into this position of that you're learning more about yourself. So this is like a very constructive exercise where you're able to, instead of being in it, witness yourself in it. And when you do that with life paths, it becomes very interesting, because the first thing you realize is, especially when you do it on other people, wow, maybe 60% or 70% of their subset, what they truly believe they are, what they think gives them their makeup, is already written. So this either means you need to get to the end of that story and write a new one, or that this entire design is just that. It's just a design and a pattern that once you recognize, then you can get your bearing. But either one of them lead to the same results. So if you take something like, that's why I personally, and what you're saying, I totally get it. I don't like astrology, or let's say, astrology, because it can be like that, like a Sunday paper. Oh, you're going to have good winnings with your job, and but it looks like you're probably going to have some trouble in your relationship. But who doesn't, right? Catch a person on any given day, that's the data. This data is a lot more different, and I encourage a person to read it. We do have it available free. It's also available to you as you become a specialist. And what this is really about is just showing you there's really 9 distinct, you can't connect one with the other. Like the path of the 9 is a neutralist. It's like, now you've learned, now you must unlearn, and that's what keeps you in the flow. So you could even start developing your own system of how numbers flow into each other. Like the number 1 is a primum. It also embodies that generally as a number itself. It wants to go straight to the goal. So this is a way of putting characters around the building blocks of how the organic side of reality is formed from the emotional subsets. So I find that to be very important when you're communicating with humans, because they generally wholly exist within these subsets, and it's important for, just that connection and realizing where someone is coming from. So it won't harm you or stunt your growth, as long as you're not just in there like, yeah, I'm never going to get over that. I encourage you to read the whole thing for a level of how you can assist other people. Do it that way, and then in that you'll learn a lot about yourself too.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, brother. And we do have a caller coming up. It's on a topic that I love. Right. I love this substance. Is she legit? It's legit, and it makes me feel like Superman. I gotta say, from personal testimony. So once you go, she legit, you wanna live that way. So our caller's name is Akeem. He's curious about she legit, who wants to knock this out of the park.
All right, let me first of all bring him in, and let me see here. I guess he's going to be transferred to the room here in a moment. Just give me 1 second. Oh, there he is. All right, so we're going to go ahead and unmute Akeem, and I hopefully that you can hear us. I'm pretty sure you can. Akeem, Wholeness, how you doing, brother?
Yes, I can. All right, Wholeness, and send much love and honor into the tribe.
Thank you.
My question, definitely, I just purchased Shilajit the other day. I got it in the mail about 2 days ago. I just want to know what's the best way to utilize the Shilajit to maximize my growth throughout using the substance.
Okay, absolutely. I'll go into this real fast, and then anybody else that wants to take it after that, that's, it's my pleasure. And I'm sure Akeem will love it. Okay, so let's just talk about very briefly what we're doing with She Legit. Like, we know that we have these degrees of energetic force. And let's say if we take it from, I don't know if you want to put them on the top or the bottom today, but let's say you have the animals, right? You have the vegetables, you have the minerals, you have the gases, which are like air. You have the liquids. So each of these states are different levels of fuel for the body. So depending on what we're looking to accomplish, you need certain, let's say, elements in the periodic table to really get into that state to harmonize with those frequencies. And you pretty much want a complete cabinet. Let's say that you want your body to have that complete cabinet of minerals so that when it needs to make something, it has those minerals. What She Legit is, which we call mountain tears, is the forming of the deposits of the flora and the fauna and many different things that collect on mountain ranges, especially mountain ranges at high altitudes. And over thousands of years, this slag, if you may, which is a composition of all these minerals and all these even prehistoric plants, come into this one congealed black goo called She Legit. And it's also full of fulvic acid, ironically. So it's a perfect blend of the minerals plus what it takes to break down the minerals. Just eating a Centrum at the store of vitamins, it doesn't break down. The particles are too big. She Legit is put in a way where those minerals actually break down the body, and then they give you what is the current that is necessary to cause a synapsis in the connection with your metaphysical awareness. So let me simplify that for you. Shungite is also another good one that does this. She Legit is great. Also Ethereum Black. They all run that same profile of basically being able to close the gap like a spark plug in the firing of your cells and your neurons in order to jump this thing off and get it going. And anybody that's heard some of my previous recordings know this thing activates. It cuts off, but it activates nonetheless. So it has like a phenomenon like a car. And if you can get it to spin up, then like a top, it can actually spin for a prolonged period of time. And this gives you an extremely, I can't even tell you what it gives you and where it leads you. It can actually lead to you even being able to get very easily out of the body. But this is the stage that you're working for, is to create a higher conductive system. That's why a lot of people talk about alkaline a lot, because it's a part of that conductivity. And just realizing that when you get your alkalines and acids balanced right, notice I said fulvic acid. Someone say, acid. I thought everything was supposed to be alkaline. It's alkaline and acid for an alchemist. And when you're getting your pHs right and you're eating these mineral subsets, you're in a perfect shape. So how do you take it? What is the best way to take it? Some put it under their tongue as the best way, taking a peppercorn size and actually putting it on their tongue and letting it go into the bloodstream sublingually. Of course, is an acquired taste, I would say. Some drink She Legit tea even, but, putting it under your tongue for the first time, if you gung-ho, you're ready to blast off, that's the best way to take it. Others use warm milk. That is the traditional Ayurvedic way to take it. I'm not a big milk fan, but I will put you in on that's how it's taken. Some put it in warm water. Like I said, that's the acquired taste. The one who's really ascending the ladder, he may go in on a hot cup of She Legit, which is that same one peppercorn stirred up till it dissolves. And then that's where you start getting your growth from, brother. So you're on your way. There's a couple other things that go along with it, but She Legit is powerful by itself. And so you're in good hands. I would just recommend realizing that also this stuff gets into the system about 30 days, just like any other substance. And then you start really feeling how it courses through the body and how it perfects things. So I trust that really gives you some insight on She Legit. If anybody else has something else to say about the substance, then, the floor is for sure open.
Very briefly, I love She Legit. I just got some today in the mail, so I'm very excited too. As usages of it, I would say, I wouldn't take it and just sit around. I would make sure that you take it.
That's a good one. Yes, so mix that thing up, or you could,
get moving.
I'm so glad Sage brought that up, because you could really even start getting a little upset over there with all that energy if you're not moving it around. But just like anything that needs to be mixed up, this stuff loves running through the bloodstream and running through the body. So the more high intensity things that you do while on She Legit, the more you get that flow, and you'll really see how much power it delivers to the body. Thank you so much.
Yes, I used it and I worked out and I totally feel it.
Absolutely. Like, man, even that, you throw some Jing Builder in there, man, you be running through the walls, man. Folks be running around, get him away.
Next thing then. That's the next thing.
Yes. Also, I wanted everybody to know we didn't cut that discount off yet. It may go tonight, but if you're hearing about She Legit, it's still on. Like, do your thing.
was it, brother? Was it Clear Friday?
I think it's Clear Friday. No, Pure She Legit. It's Pure She Legit is the code. On Secret Energy, if you're looking to dive in on that, it's 50% off, which never happens. Like, we just show her big love, so you know that's how we do it.
And I'm telling you, it's black gold. I mean it. Like, when I get to the last little bit, I pour hot water in the actual container and sip it like a shot. So
I'm gonna do that.
I'm coming clean with it. That's exactly what I do. And there's no shame in my game on that one. So
right.
But yeah, much love, Akeem. Thank you for calling in. Wholeness.
Yes, thank you, brother.
All right. We do have another caller. Do we want to jump in on that, family?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
1 second. Let me just handle those lines real briefly.
Cool. And it's going to be caller 2. It's Danny. Danny would like to, I don't know if he wants to elaborate, if he wants some of us to elaborate or both, but an elaboration on experiences with Kundalini, rising, awakening, dealing with that energy. So are we ready to bring him in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Wholeness, Danny.
Danny.
On with the Keymakers.
Everyone, I would love to just send all the love and gratitude to you guys. If you could see the smile on my face for being on the show right now. I'm just so happy. I want to present this experience with you all, and because you all understand, I'm sure you've had the experience, but what it was is I came into the knowledge, and I was doing a lot of personal development, raising my vibration, went whole vegan, organic, and really cleaned my body out really well. And what had happened was, during that experience, I felt as if my right and my left hemisphere of my brain integrated, and at that time I felt as if my crown chakra, I was exploding at the top of my head, and it opened up basically a gateway for vibration and energy and frequency and just a whole bunch of knowledge of that sense. And I would just love to hear some insight on people who may have understood that once before, or just people that understand that, because everyone I've tried to tell about that, it looks at me like I got a couple more than 2 arms.
Yeah, for sure, brother. I honor your experience, man. Just give thanks that the energy's flowing through you so beautifully, merging the hemispheres and bringing you into a balance and centeredness. I want to give thanks for that and honor and commemorate that, because that just speaks to your centeredness, your balance, and where you're at. That when the energy flows through you at such charge that it doesn't polarize, it keeps you in the center. So I give thanks. Well, you keep you in the center. So I give thanks for that. And for me, the energy stirs in me in subtle bursts, but then there'll be moments of the fire hits the fuel and we take off, and those moments are they're truly unconditional. Sometimes you don't even expect them coming, and it just comes. But for me, I experience it as an electric numbness, and when it runs through the body, I'll also hear a very visceral sound, like just a visceral opening sound that I hear. Is like literally being shaken loose out the body. But in lower magnitudes, I experience the subtle rocking of the coccyx, energy just being loosened. I've also experienced the centering of my hemispheres, which was big for me. I felt the polarization in my left side of my brain, and the merging was beautiful. It was such a beautiful experience. So I'm open. Anybody else want to share, man? This is everybody has their own individual experiences. So that's what I've experienced.
Yes. And Danny, you did say, if I recall correctly, something about your left and right hemispheres of your brain. Is that correct?
That's the sensation. Yes, that's the sensation that I felt.
I hear you. So maybe Brother Bomar can tell me exactly which one it was, but when I was experimenting with the monatomics that are or will be available, I'm not quite sure if they're available at the moment.
Are coming in December.
Okay, awesome. So, there's frequency. Do you remember which one it was, Bomar?
Yeah,
one called frequency.
Frequency 432 or frequency 8.
It might have been frequency 8. It was one of them that was, I think it might have actually been targeted for that sort of sensation that I experienced.
Sonic propellant. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember feeling that precisely within myself to where I just felt like the bridge, what is that? The corpus callosum or between those two hemispheres.
Yeah.
It came together. It came together, and it wasn't just the physical sensation. It was my perspective came together. My body came together. I started dance flowing. That was part of my uniqueness. I had to start moving. That was just kind of following that feeling that came from that coming together of the left and right. So definitely look out for those monatomics. And I hear you, brother. Thank you for sharing.
Precisely. Is there any way I could add one more part to that?
Absolutely.
Please.
Just to get some further insight, so when I came through that state, I didn't stay in it for too long. I would say maybe a week or two. But during that week or two, I hear Sevan talk about his oversoul, and when I entered into that state, I felt as if my vibration was so high that I was, for lack of a better term, puppeteering my body, but in the sense of not operating restrained by the ego, and I felt like as if I was moving in a seamless, unobstructed reality for a couple weeks or so.
Yeah, well, I'm sure many have heard of my experience, so I won't elaborate on that right now. But one thing that I am guided to talk about in relation to Kundalini, because it actually really ties in strongly to Kali, and also obviously ties into Shakti, and we see a picture forming here. And I like to see these energies as in themselves collective families that coexist with those who have unlocked it from different levels and the different degrees, right? So let's say the Kundalini is like a stream, and so sometime that stream is trickling, but it's always running, right? And then when there's some rain, now the stream is moving faster, and what's responsible for carrying that creative force is the nadis and the chakras and all of those experiences and how you're handling your system, right? But in this process, it's almost like, well, it's not almost like, it's very timed to what you're supposed to experience. Even if a person has the most wildest, maybe what they feel like is counterproductive experience, there's something about that experience that wants to show them something. And it's almost like in this world, like Mark was saying earlier, where there's some separation still happening, Kundalini at times acts out as its own force. And this force, I feel like, is like at first like a young woman, like even a girl. That's why I feel like it's like a Kali. It could be very wild for a person when it first unlocks. And that's why most masters don't turn on Kundalini until they understand how to actually control it. But let's say that all happens in the invisible college. You get, you go through the proper occultation, and the next thing you know, you're activating Kundalini. And now that first series of Kundalini is such a height. It could really be a letdown if after that, those experiences or something akin to those experiences coming to their fulfillment are not happening. So this could become like, let's say you have this beautiful, talented woman, but she's staying in the house all the time. She's doing nothing. She's going to become frustrated. She's going to start arguing with you. Maybe she starts nagging you. And this is kind of what it feels like when Kundalini is activated, especially above the navel, and there's not a lot of creativity going on. So I would expect that most people become aware that Kundalini is synonymous also for creativity and those sexual fluids, and how they come in and out of the ether, like into the physical and then back into gases. And when you create like a magnetic force within your body of this Kundalini, it attracts and connects to yet more Kundalini force. And so this could be for the person like riding, it's really strong. So whether you want to call it a bull, whether you want to call it a snake, or whatever you want to call it, it's like you learn in the experience how to ride it, or you get thrown off. And some people have actually gotten thrown off. They go through a dormant spiritual period. Then maybe they activate it again. Maybe they choose like a really crazy DMT experience. That's enough for me. But either way, this force, for those like Kalindi Illy says about we need more Dr. Stranges, this force is it is the most powerful creative force on the planet. So those who understand how to weld it properly, which ties into their uniqueness, mating uniqueness with Kundalini to produce what everybody is looking for. Because if you notice, the redundant thing that's going on in the community is everyone's looking for something. Either they're trying to get the politicians to do it, trying to get eBay to sell them a book about it, Amazon, another person. The creativity of the Kundalini force is what brings out the things that we're looking for. And this particular generation, and this is what we were talking about before about the uniqueness and the creativity, is at the fold of unlocking their creativity. Sage was saying before he jumped on the conversation just how motivated he was by seeing his friends. You know, Isaac does his dance, you know, everybody's got something that they're doing. And when you start seeing those expressions, if you're looking back at yourself and saying, what do I do? Then do you found the right place? Because that's exactly what we get into, is showing you this is what it actually is and taking you through that process. So once again, without getting long-winded, definitely check out that first free session of Spirit Tech training, which gets you into sovereignty, because we're not just talking about affiliations and sharing links and that kind of stuff. In fact, that's the follow-up to everything to make it all cohesive. The reality is the deepest thing that you could do is get this information, and it's the frequency. So it's like, even with the mic open, and let me explain to you just one last thing. When you want to find the frequency of a place, I just learned this maybe 2 weeks ago. Very powerful stuff. So when you want to find the frequency of a place, what you do is you go to that place when it's quiet. You put your recorder on and you record, I don't know, about 5 minutes, 3 minutes of it. Then you take that recording and you go into like an Audacity and you stack that recording. And you keep stacking that recording. Now, they say it's more powerful if you keep making individual recordings. Don't just take the same one and double it and triple it. Get individual ones recorded at the same space. And then when you put them into stacking them, now, for those who don't have a cymatic machine, if you just wanted to dial into the space, you got it right there. You need about 4 to 7 layers of that sound because it starts to reverberate and you start to hear the frequency. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is just to understand that it's the hidden spaces that give you this power. Like even tomorrow, what we're going to be talking about is this tribe of the sun. And what I'm going to be bringing forth is that there's knowledge here, just like the bend of these roofs that make the sound, that in the acoustics make the sound strange. At this end, you realize that sound and energy, these key components, and learning how to mix them together properly and taking your creativity and then doing something with it that's unique is what really is the fulfillment to this life. And so, you know, maybe I went on a tangent there, but it's just understanding that your uniqueness, Kundalini, and these things are actually designed for something that you're going to bring to everybody else. You'll have these people that are actually waiting on something to come, and there's nothing wrong with that. You also have people that want to deliver something, but they don't know exactly what to deliver. This is how you dial into that. And the last thing I want to tell those who are participating in this today is to realize that the reason why we're also really interested in taking these questions is because it allows us to tap the pulse of the collective consciousness that we all share together to understand where we're all really at. Because if we want to blow past all these simple questions, let's say, or we're calling them simple, and go on to this super high level stuff, we would be missing out on really the first part of things that make a person be able to comprehend that. So we need to know that. We don't need to be guessing about that. So I just wanted to let you know that for sure. You know, keep that Kundalini creative. You know, it's really important you keep it stirred up. That's the easiest way. Water that is still spoils. And, you know, it's not that great for you. Keep it moving, keep Kundalini going, work out. Obviously, that's another one. Keep the blood imploding. Dan Winter is like, to me, the Kundalini master as far as how deep it really gets, imploding the blood and what you can do with it as far as time travel, etc. But, you know, you're definitely in the right direction, brother. You know, just joining in the space. We appreciate you so much.
Yes, thank you, Danny. All righty, so we got another caller. And we can keep rolling with it. Sound good, family?
Let's do it. Let's do it. And then we're going to take a break here in about 5 minutes. After this caller, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come into our final bit.
All righty. So we have Justin, who's going to be on the line with us. Justin is asking how he can stay present in a lucid dream and any supplements that might help. You with us, Justin?
Oh, let me open up his call 1 second.
Cool.
I guess let me see real briefly. I think he's caller number
5909.
All right, 5909. There he goes. Justin, how you doing? Wholeness.
How's it going? Wholeness and vibration to you all.
All right.
Wholeness.
Am I able to ask my question now?
It's all you. It's all us.
Oh, okay. All right. So I just really want to thank Seven and all you guys for being available in a time where, you know, when people see you meditating or eating a bowl of spinach or taking minerals, they kind of tend to look at you odd, but there's so much odd things going on in the world. And you're looking out like, I'm just being simple here, just trying to do the simple things. So my main question is, I've always been a very visual dreamer as a child. And as Seven took me from a neophyte to climbing a ladder, my dreams started to become very, very visual. And I started to have lucid dreams. But during these lucid dreams, the moment I realized I'm in the dream, I would initially wake. And I would wake, you know, and just, you know, write the dream down and go about my day. And through the day, those dreams were actually, sometimes they would become what they call where you feel you've been here before, but it was actually from the dream. And as my vibration continued to raise, that would happen more frequently. And the last very lucid dream I had was I became lucid in the dream, but I was in total darkness. And at that point, I could hear my consciousness speaking to me, and it was telling me, you know, like, get up. And I would try to raise my body, but my body felt extremely heavy, like just extremely heavy. And it came to me again, like, well, on the count of three, you will get up on 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, and I felt my body lift, but when it lifted, it jammed me back down, like very heavily into myself. And then once again, I just did 1, 2, 3, and boom, it was just like I woke up, like, for the first time, like, in forever. And I just want clarification on how, because I know from lucid dream you can go to out of body experience. I just want to know, how can I become more conscious, you know, or aware in a lucid dream? You know, I can meditate, you know, for an hour, 45 minutes at a time. You know, I eat, I take my minerals, but it's to a point where you look out at life and you just like, what's the next thing? Because you dream so visually, like it's like you're awake all the time. In the reality, you're dreaming, and it's very visual. And you wake up and write it down, and you're not tired, but it's like you're constantly wired, constantly on all the time. So that was my question. I didn't mean to spill over, but, you know, Seven, you know, if you could just advise me, or anybody on the panel could advise me, because, you know, all is self, all is one, and I'm just looking for guidance from my peers here.
I mean, I don't want to say too much on this topic, but I'm definitely having similar experiences in terms of, like, the dreams are kind of running over into my reality, where, like, I'm dreaming the day in my dream and then living it the next day. So I'm definitely experiencing a lot of that as well, and it's really powerful. And I would say what's helped me recently is being more aware in my waking life, because it's all a dream. I mean, it's different frequencies, different perceptions, but it's all the same field in a sense. it's kind of, when the dreams, it kind of opens up more. You have more access. You're not as limited to our labels, to our perceptions of the physical, right? So just being more aware while I'm awake, so that way when I go to sleep, that awareness can kind of come with me in a sense.
And also, is directly the question how to lucid dream better, or you want to shoot out a direct question so we can put that laser on it?
Sure, no problem. So my main question would be is, when lucid, how to become more aware in your lucid, well, not to wake when you realize you're lucid dreaming. In the dream, when I look around and say, wow, I'm dreaming, that, I can see objects and things, but immediately I would awaken, and I read plenty of books on lucid dreaming and different things to practice. So I just want to get you guys' perspective on what's the steps to take to stay in the lucid dream, to not awaken from the lucid dream.
Okay, I got it. What I would definitely say is, as you're doing the breathing techniques already, looking into the bow and arrow technique, because in retrospect, lucid dreaming is still considered the back door because you actually do it while you're in the sleeping state. And just for those who don't understand the difference between the front door and the back door, even hallucinogenic substances are considered the back door in metaphysics, meaning that you actually enter into your consciousness from a certain aspect where there's still a thin film. So no matter how real what you're seeing is, you still feel like, yeah, but there's that film in between me and it, and you feel safe. And that's why, or safer than you would normally feel if you went through the front door. And this is why many people choose to use the back door. In the front door, you are literally walking into the front door of your own kingdom. And so you have to be ready to basically claim your space on your throne of your own consciousness. So in this case, how this would look from a dream level is you're actually moving out the dream. That there's no longer actually more of a lucid state. There's more of actually, almost like a blank space before you wake up again, because there's less for the consciousness to be drifting into and attached to, because it's bringing in its entire presence into this space. So what you may have experienced, especially after a lot of lucid journeys, is less lucid journeys and more awareness in the in the physical world that you're living in from a spiritual level. And this is because, let's say you have 10 dream worlds running generally, or 10 alternate paths running generally, and you start shutting those down. When you shut them down, it brings more of your awareness into this actual prime space that you're in now, the space that you wake up into. But the total awakening, and this is what I'm really working, because hypnosis has a lot to do with dreams. Like, some people can sit in dreams and fantasies all day, and even if it's just every single thing you want in there, it's still not the actual control point. So I always encourage those that, lucid dreaming is fun, but especially after you've really mastered and kind of explored it, start coming into this plane, or at least dialing into those spaces, things that are able to be utilized in this plane. So just directly, when you have that power and you've already received those gifts, expect for this to activate when you need it, when you need to hear something, or when you need to get a massive amount of information and it's compressed in a small period, but not necessarily looking for it to happen every single night. Because what I experienced personally is it became very distracting. I was lucid so much, it felt like I was even dreaming the next day. But then there was this issue where I was wondering if I was actually basically predicting the next day. And I talked about that before. It's like, we are manifestors. So if you don't realize that you're the one manifesting, you start thinking someone else is, even if you're calling that your higher self. And then your reality starts being set out like a click before you're actually really there and present to create your reality. So I would just encourage you to find things that actually allow you to get some action happening now in this last year. I like to give myself timelines, this 2020 period, to actually bring the things that you can say you condensed in that dream space, the time that you were lucid, and say, well, with all of this, because that's what they said, with all you're getting, get some wisdom. So with all of this, like I always do this to myself now, because I've read so many things and I know so much about different things that maybe we will never be able to confirm. So I try to make all of that serve the moment. Like, okay, so but what can you do for these kids though with that? Like, what can you do for this situation of the poverty within the conscious community with that? Because then I start looking back on my own consciousness, like, who are you, and are you using these powers and abilities constructively? Because I'm sure that if you need this lucid ability to go and do something that you set a mission for, then you get it. But if you just want to get in there to play around with the back room of how realities are created, you need to mate that with purpose, or it stops appearing. And that's what I was saying about Kundalini being like a woman, because these forces and powers all come from the same source. This is why Solomon, in that, which is, again, we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but the sun solar tradition, which is male and female, is basically writing a love letter to this energy and to this force, trying to get it to really, really come and stay so that he could utilize it to do great things with. So it's like that. Like, if it's kind of, and also this stuff, by the way, lucid dreaming and those kind of things have a tendency to visit you when you're not necessarily deeply connected with an external party, like a lover or twin flame or whatever. It tends to visit you just like the Song of Solomon talks about. It visits him like a virgin. He knows he must stay chaste in order to receive it. So all it's talking about is the mind must be clear, and then it will come. But then once it's there, it's now like, okay, now you have me. What are you going to do with me? Do you know what to do now that you're lucid? Do you know how to open up gates and vaults to the next stage? Do you send prayers? Whatever you do, what's the next thing? And then until then, maybe you don't need to go back in there anymore. So what I found was, I was like, because it disturbed me for a while, because my lucid dream was like cut off like night and day. It's just all of a sudden I wasn't able to do it anymore. And then I realized, you know what? Let me just move on with the reality, because the dreams had been taking so much presence into my physical space that I realized that, as I said in the beginning of the Keymakers Afterthoughts, humanity needs us here and now. They don't need us in the lucid space. There's some powerful brothers and sisters. If you've been able to do that, reality needs you here now. And your most greatest power is actually your action. And it's a hell of a play to always keep a person within their mind, within their spiritual subset or their metaphysical makeups, and have them never do actually anything in the physical reality that is a physical sign of that, because it's so hard to make that transfer. It's so hard to birth that metaphysical being into this kind of world. This is like bringing an indigo child into this world. But we have to know that that's what we have here. We bring things into the world that quantumly change the quantum pain, right? So we got problems going on all over the place now. So we actually need those powers and solutions. So let that be like your intention. So I guess all of that, I had all this to say one thing. To get in there, you need the intention now. It's not the technique. It's not looking at the hands, I'm leaving really fast and I just want to, it's just now, what are you mating this energy with? Set the mission, and then you'll find it unlock. And that's the advice that I'll give on that, just keeping it going. So I think hopefully, brother, that really gives you more insight on that, and just, gets it turning again, and just, locking into these intentions. These souls need you.
Thank you, Justin, for calling in.
All right. Thanks, man. I'm gonna go get some Sheila J. You hit it right on where it needed to be, man. Appreciate
that. Absolutely. And as we're heading into break, if you are gonna go check out that Sheila J on secretenergy.com, once again, it's 50% off code right now, and the code is Pure Sheila Jeet, and that's PURESHILAJIT. Felt like a spelling bee for a moment, but
we just unlocked that again. It did actually expire on that day, but just showing some love tonight. Since we're talking about it, definitely you could check it out if you want it. So is there one more caller in this queue that I see?
We have two more callers. Okay. We can get to those on the other side of the break. We got plenty of questions as well on the other side of the break. So
okay, let's do that then. Let's change out.
Okay.
We're gonna close this thing down though tonight around 9:30. We'll come back at the top of the hour. So we got roughly 10 minutes and we're going to get back into this. But right now we're going to have some lovely tunes from some brothers and sisters that I hold very close to me. And, just hear this vibe and this connection that these brothers are going to be bringing. And we'll see you in just a moment. All right, let's see here. There we go.
And if I just could come into your space, maybe I'll see everything that you offer. Yeah, you think I'm lying, I got truth in my veins. Yeah. I ain't never growing up, I don't need to. Do you need to move? Can we grow there together? Being one, we're all tied up, yeah. Far beyond my body, my mind, yeah. There's a soul, everyone is there, yeah, and all tied up. Far beyond the mountains, the sea, yeah. There is joy because I'm free, yeah, and all tied up. I tried to fly again so that one day maybe you'll see everything that I offer. But I'm realizing no one else needs to say. If it's true, let the truth ring, yeah. I ain't never growing up, I don't need to. Do you need to move? Can we grow there together? Being one, we're all tied up, yeah. Far beyond my body, my mind, yeah. There's a soul, everyone is there, yeah, and all tied up. Far beyond the mountains, the sea, yeah. There is joy because I'm free, yeah, and all tied up. Part of me, part of you, part of everything that is true. Part of me, part of you, the sum of us. Far beyond my body, my mind, yeah. There's a soul, everyone is there, yeah, and all tied up. Far beyond the mountains, the sea, yeah. There is joy because I'm free, yeah, and all tied up. Far beyond my body, my mind, yeah.
Welcome to Unobtrusive Marketing. Unobtrusive Marketing is a term we created to explain how you could earn commissions while sharing mindful content on our site that you love and think your friends will be interested in. After you've become an affiliate, you will be given access to your own dashboard. In this dashboard, you can turn normal website content URLs into special links that can be detected by our system to track if any of our site viewers have been referred by you. After clicking a link, most users continue to browse the site. In the event they make a purchase from our store, you'll receive commissions. It's that simple. The key to unobtrusive marketing is your friends can be invited to the site to enjoy metaphysical content and other things they love, and you don't have to bother them with links about products and sales opportunities. That's being mindful.
Kenowaki, Ipanamawani, Tlaso Kamati, Ana Ene, Tonan Chutonan Sintlale, Tlaso Kamati, We Venadito, We Kayumari, Tlaso Kamati, Ana Ene, Aometeor, Aometeor. La sokamati, ia enene, ia enene hiana ia enene Tonan Sintlale, Tlasokamati, We Venarito, We Kayumare, Tlasokamati, Ana Ene, Aometeor, Tlasokamati. Ia enene, ia enene hiana ia enene ia enene hiana We Venadito, we Venadito, Tlasokamati, Ana Ene, we Tatuari, we Kayumari, Tlasokamati, we Venadito, we Venadito, Tlasokamati, Ana Ene, Ahometeor, Tlasokamati. Ia enene, ia enene hiana ia enene, ia enene hiana tlazokamati. Wevenadito, wevenadito, tlazokamati. Anaene, ahometeor, tlazokamati. Hia, enene, hia, enene, oh, hiana, oh, hia, enene, hia, enene, oh, hiana, oh, tlokena wake, iparamawani, tlazokamati, hiana, ene, tonancho, tonatsintlale, tlazokamati. Wevenadito, wekayomari, tlazokamati, hiana, ene, ahomateo, tlazokamati.
All right, I'm sure you're feeling it like I'm feeling it, because that is the most, that's music. All right, I'll just say it like that. Now that's music. So we're gonna keep it going here. We're getting that train. That train is running. So I'm gonna let my brother Isaac come in. He's gonna keep directing us into this questions. We're still working on our rapid fire weapon. We got long range. We got our long range artillery. It's working perfect. But now we're gonna see what this rapid fire is like. So here we go.
Okay, so we're gonna also merge 3 of these questions. So I'm gonna introduce all 3 of these questions, and I believe there's some crossover on it. Okay, so there's a question. They're in a relationship that there's been a sense of betrayal and abuse. How does one transmute these feelings? The second one is, what if some of we have a past partner? How can we release the energy of essence from their aura, from our own aura? And then thirdly, this one is a little bit more focused on the home. It's how they can, what's the words we want to use for it? Cleanse your home of negative energy, not just within the home, but within yourself.
I think Marcia grabbed that first one because that's that relationships. I think Paige should get that second one. You may want to repeat that first one back to him so he can find it.
That was big, all 3 of those together. So I'll definitely say the betrayal and abuse. Those are definitely deep traumas that require a level of self-inquiry, self-reflection, self-care. So that solitude is very necessary. Putting up boundaries where necessary, because you're probably still vulnerable in a certain space. So while you're feeling wounded, you got to recognize, who feels hurt within you, and tend to that, and empower yourself and bring those wounds to the light and allow yourself. Often we stand upon those traumas and they become a space of healing for others. So it's all about, getting clear, getting free of the situation, as best as possible, putting up those boundaries where necessary. And boundaries, I consider boundaries and walls to be a bit different. Walls are like, I want nothing to do with that side. Boundaries are more like, we may interact, but you got to approach me in a certain way. And that needs to be respected and honored. Like, really make them responsible for the frequency that they bring to you, as Savant has said in the 5 laws of spiritual relationships. So I definitely want to say, betrayal and abuse, that gets into, self-worth if you continue to allow that, and if you're feeling unsafe, I would ask if there's any spaces that you do feel safe, that you can go to move out of that situation as soon as possible. I feel more details are necessary to really get into what would be the right or the proper course of action to really maneuver, in the urgent, in the immediate space, and then allow the healing process to continue. But it's all about, acknowledging our self-worth, what is our standard that we're allowing ourselves to receive. And it's all, it's all right there. Because it's always about what we're allowing. It's always about allowing.
And Paige, did you want to fill into transmuting feelings of abuse and betrayal?
Yes, I'm gonna go rapid fire. So transmuting, energies of abuse and betrayal. One way to do that is to truly look at yourself where you are, and that person is yourself. Is to truly be honest with yourself as to how did you get to that situation, and one way to do that is to release and then transmute it into creative energy. So me being an artist and a musician and things like that, anytime you feel like you've been betrayed or abused or whatever the case may be, you don't just go and do it to the other person or you do it in another way. A lot of times you can use that energy, to create something of some sort, whether it be a song, whether it be a piece of jewelry, whether it be a book, whether it be some type of vlog or blog or whatever the case may be. Transmute that energy into something balanced, coming from a place of a healing heart rather than an angry, bitter, scorned individual.
Thank you. And as far as cleansing the space or the energy of your home, intuitive, Holly, do you have something on that? I was coming to you for that one, I believe.
I was actually going to add on to that cord cutting. Our relationships are very important as well, both healthy and unhealthy relationships. The cord cutting ceremonies that we do with each person in our lives is very important in honoring that space.
Yes. Thank you. And moving on to the next one. This is very functional. It should be quick. How do they check their life path?
Well, it was mentioned earlier, but essentially what you would do is take each digit of
you know what, Mark? Somebody will send a link on that just so we can. Perfect. That's a rapid the fire. That's the rapid as the fire gets, and it'll actually there's a place. They
mostly just wanted them to know where to find it. Yeah, that's why they're asking. Yeah,
that's cool. We'll send it to them in the chat.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. This one tickles me. What if we're not sovereign come 2020?
I'm sovereign now, Sean. Like, okay, so really get this though, because if anybody knows anything about me, they know I'm not a joke. Like, it's not a game. I don't set dates. I don't play around. I got a really spotless reputation and I'm doing pretty good in life. So why would I want to go and get some things started just on what? There would be absolutely no motive for me to give dates and say something about something unless this is really, really something that we need to go at. So when I give myself some dates, what that means is that you can definitely count on it getting done, because the closer I get to dates that are deadlines, the wilder it is of the thing that I could concoct to close that gap in of whatever is not done. And that's just how I function. Now, there's some other people that also function the same way, and we're together now. So what we're rolling into is we launch OHMs on Sunday. It is a big part of things. I'm not going to get into it now because we're just so in the heart space. There's no reason to jump out of it, but just understand that this is a plan that a person that just has the will. Now, we work on broken wheels too. Just so you understand it, a broken wheel is not completely 360 degrees. There's the wheel's not turning. We do that. We have repair centers for that, right? But there's the next stage where there's many people that they're just ready. They have the will to do this. And if you have the will to do this, this is going to turn traction, because we're going to take every single thing in the reality. If it's a neural network, if it's open source, whatever it is, if it's cryptocurrency that has the actual current tied into it to take us into another stage, especially since Mars keeps sending back these same damn whack pictures. They're crazy. I was a little kid and they talk about, oh, we going to Mars. Now it's 40 years later and they coming back with just a picture. This is ridiculous. And here we are with all this technology and all this know-how and all this connection and our heartfelt. Man, you think we're not going to get to it? So I just, maybe you understand and feel where I'm coming from. What if you're saying, what if you're not? Then that would be because you didn't put the effort in and go through the 1, 2, 3. We got one page that's called How It Works. And that was as simple as I can put it. And, maybe somebody will share that link. And just in that, there's certain things that you need to know. And that's why you should take ambassador training or take specialist training. It's free for you. It's a perfect ramp up process. But there's certain things you need to know exactly about how currency works, period. Whether it's the money you transact every day in your life, or if it's the energy that's going through your body, or if it's your overall attitude about your value. And once you get that cleared up, then you see how that clear is the goal of Sovereignty 2020. So I trust that you get where I'm coming from, and you can adjust yourself accordingly. Wholeness, we're here for you.
All right. And Mark or Sage, it's a question on a meditation practice. This person feels that they're no good at meditation. They have trouble slowing their thoughts, and they would like some practical advice to nurture that meditation practice.
Yes, keep it simple. Yeah, keep it simple and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself first and foremost. That every time it feels like you're doing the wrong thing, just forgive yourself. I forgive myself completely, and I come right back to the beginning, right back to the breath. And you really want to get to a space where you're just enjoying your breath. Every time we inhale, we enjoy the inhale. Every time we exhale, we enjoy the exhale. That is really as simple as it really gets. And I know that simplicity can elude us sometimes where we're coming from, doubt, self-doubt, and the monkey mind. So I'll say that there are tools you can use to clear the mind as much as possible. So you have a vibrational reference point for what it feels like to be a bit more still in stillness, right? So there's conceptual reference points, there's more visceral ones. So if we're going to use something visceral, I would do something like sound healing with Holly, where you get that feeling of vibration running through your being. Or just get to toning, get into it, like hold a note, really get into that om, or get into all the tones. Each of the chakras has a corresponding tone. So if you're feeling more of the mind space, so get into that pineal gland and resonate at that level and really push it through. And then if we want to talk conceptually, because I work very well conceptually, I would say the one-pointedness. So basically bringing your awareness into one space. If you have to focus on a visual while doing the breath, bringing yourself into one compressed, contracted state. If all your awareness is compressed into the size of a blue marble, as making it as small as you possibly can, and hold it as long as you possibly can, and continue breathing. These are just techniques, but essentially what you're getting into is the state of simplicity in the being. So all of these are just reference points for the mind to just hold on to, where you get to that space where you don't even have to hold on. So it's about accessing your own bliss and getting to simplify your practice. You really want to simplify your practice and just recognize the being. So I'll let Brother Sage take it from there.
Just to add, that was perfect, man. That was well said. And also to add that we all have unique ways of getting to similar destinations. Like my path has been very interesting because I didn't have any teachers growing up in the spiritual journey. I kind of just made things up and found what worked for me personally. And many people have many different techniques. Meditation is not one thing, I look more these days towards living meditatively, a meditative lifestyle. And so when I learned how to do that, I would like meditate while walking around campus, meditate while eating lunch, just find that stillness, that presence more than anything. And like Mark says, there are many tools, breath, there's cymatics, there's sound healing. There's so many different techniques towards doing that, but find like what feels good to you, because I wasn't good at just sitting down for an hour and just, thinking about when I couldn't do it. And so I had to find what worked for me as well. And you have your thing. So just experiment and find that space within yourself.
Thank you, brothers. And then last question before we hop into the callers. This might shake us up a bit. It's a current event question. And the question is there anything metaphysical going on with the earthquake, the 7.0 earthquake in Anchorage today? 7.
Oh, that was a really, really beautiful
that was
one.
so
But
good.
it wasn't recorded though. Like I mute my lines just so I don't have a lot of stuff in. But you can hear me, but the audience can't. And so just to repeat what I was saying to everyone, and I do apologize for that. I'll just keep my lines open and work with that. But we've had a few earthquakes here. Actually, we had, let's say, 3 little small earthquakes within this week. And so what I was saying is I'm trained to go at any time. And when the fear of being here becomes so overwhelming that you become curious about what goes on beyond this space, then that can only be a good thing. You have to learn to take fear and to use it as a fuel to propel you into the awareness of who you truly are. That is how all masters have come to discover their power. There's many techniques to where you can simulate certain experiences, but we have stuff going on right now that you would have been awoke a long time ago. If you believed even 5% of some of the stuff that you're really hearing, if it just really penetrated you completely, you would have already been at attention and ready to go into your Sovereignty 2020 and know that nothing can interrupt you from getting there. But if you still take the luxury to be mad at somebody, to cuss somebody out, or to complain about something, if you're still taking those luxuries, that just means that you're not actually taking the experience on the planet serious enough. But if you're actually seeing, okay, hey, maybe this thing is not as stable as it should be, because that's obvious. There's a lot of things going on that are causing instability for the collective consciousness. That would push us into creating these quantum solutions. That's why I'm serious about unveiling all of these different things, and I'm done. I'm complete. We're on Sunday. We're ready. We erected quite a few different things, if you didn't notice, over the last 3 months. We're pushing 20 hours a day. Collectively, we're at 24 hours a day. We're setting intentions. We're doing it on all levels. And that's one thing that I wanted to clarify, because I don't want to make the mistake in coming to conclusions that everybody that is listening to this call today has heard all of our presentations. So I will make it very clear about sovereignty. You need to be spiritually sovereign before you can become physically sovereign. Let's make that very clear. And spiritual sovereignty has a lot to do with the beginning of how we came into this. Subscribing to other things, right? Like the key to what Mark is saying is letting go of the attachments. They weigh you down. It's endless to the problems that will ensue with your attachments. But of course, it's not that easy to get rid of certain things. So that's the quest before you. But it's a real thing to come to the awareness that we are causing so much pain and strife for ourselves because we're unwilling to change sometimes, when true survival is change. That's the adaptation. The change allows you to oscillate through all your experiences so you can become one with yourself, to know who you truly are. Now, if you want to be stuck and just be in one moment, then maybe a life passes and you enjoy that. And that's what we talk about, the genealogies, the life paths, all those different things are that sliver or facet of yourself. But to break through, which is available for us right now, like we count time, we see past, we see history hundreds of years ago, but really all we know is right now, ourselves, this thing that we're moving around. Take it. It is a gift. You see other life forms that are not as mobile. You see other humans that are not as agile as far as being able to really bend and break through this consciousness. So if you're close enough, go all the way. So there's two sides that I just explained to you. And I can use either one. The fear factor, this thing is starting to tremble a lot. I mean, common sense is telling me, especially with those hollow sounds that keep being heard all over the earth, something is going on in the core of this thing. I know it probably pissed some flat earthers off, but it looks like a big egg. And maybe this thing is going to crack open. But what I've always experienced is when we do have those earthquakes, I get rises in Kundalini. And those become like waves to show me what it's like to ride Kundalini. And, sometimes you see those surfers of those crazy things and the wave is that huge. I hope it's not like that, but get ready really to ride this energetic wave, because if we pass all out of our bodies, or large groups of us pass all out of our bodies at the same time, this is just being realistic sometimes to things that can happen. Well, glorious, because we will arrive in a plane where Brother Sven and Brother Seven and Brother Mark and Sister and all the rest of us are much more equipped, just like you'll see in the dream world when you get to jumping all around that space and handling things, than we actually are here where there's so much governance. So, just to be very clear, keep fear in check with wisdom.
Mm-hmm. We're about ready for caller 4, our next caller. Okay. And it is focused on racism, this caller's inquiry. And I know that, part of our mission and objective is really going for the racism, explaining what it actually is and where it originates from. I definitely recommend looking at the Germanic Good blog chronicles, if you will. There will be 7, I believe 3 of them are out already on Secret Energy blog. And also, we dipped our toes into this on Kali episode 1, the Keymakers. But we're going to open it up to Amara, and she's dealing with negative racist energy in the workplace. Wholeness, Amara.
Hi, Wholeness. Good evening. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yes.
You guys are amazing, and you're wonderful. You're beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing the love and keeping the vibration going. It's a really beautiful thing.
Thank you.
I'm like nervous and excited at all at once. Like my heart is like, it's really exciting to be on the line right now.
It's a great feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. So my question, it's really like my heart, because everything that I do in my life involves people and energy and, being face to face and, one-on-one. And so I'm really passionate about, what I do. I'm a lifeguard. I'm a swim instructor. I work with children. Of course, I work with adults too, but my calling really is like working with children. And, just working with people, I'm a person that has a little bit more melanin in the skin. So I just like my coworkers are generally, not. They're white or, and I'm usually the only Black person on staff. So I've worked with pretty prominent organizations, and I've just, experienced certain, associations in certain situations. And so I don't know, I feel like I've transcended from the past when I was younger and what I had to deal with, having this vibration, having this energy, knowing about it, being very like aware as a child and making certain decisions. And, just like majority of, I think one of your co-hosts, they said, they were alone. They were doing it on their own, like, just black sheep, just, everything. So I guess I'm just like at another level of like, needing to know, like, I guess transcending even more, because I don't know, I just feel like I'm on the brink of, I work with a pretty prominent organization, and I'm still doing my own thing where I'm teaching privately on the side, and I want that to grow. Like I see it, I'm visioning it, I'm taking my time with myself, letting grace do its thing. But I know that, more action is needed, and I just feel like having that, it's hard. It's hard to
Well, why
deal with
don't
it.
why don't you take a moment and just, take a deep breath.
Okay.
And let us dial it in, because we don't have to use English to understand where you're coming from. Let's put it like that. So, rather than us taking you continuously through the process, why don't we relieve the process? I'll start in this, and then I really I want to I just want to hold space. So I'm just going to start in this, and first in us realizing our power. Like, never forget about your power. Like, never forget that you are still the person that holds the control point or the switch to what direction you go in life. And where, my mom used to always say, where someone won't, one will, meaning that there's some places where you'll go and people will not welcome you. And then there's places that you'll go where they'll love you. You just need to find your place. The United States is very black and white, just as black and white as the Masonic checker floor. But it's really ignorance, for the simple fact of this. I just want us to fathom this for one moment, because it's so black and white that even black people can look at white people and assume they're looking all at the same thing, and never realize that the Romans just obliterated and destroyed the Druids. That the Greeks, that many of these cultures that are all what we would say is melanin recessive, have been so locked into conflict. The Polish, the Germans, there's no real color divide except for a game that is being played, the game that we are working towards ending. Now, when another person is having to go through the process of choosing to end their schism or their distortion, the last thing you want to be doing is waiting on someone to make that decision. So, sister, you sound very intelligent, and I just want to, welcome you into exploring more about your creativity and how you can put a rocket under what you're developing already. So that way you can stop fueling someone else's dream and start fueling your own. And lastly, I want you to also realize that when you have a plan, then you have this thing called a means to an end. And this allows you to, instead of experiencing also the anxiety that you're dealing with, which is hurting you more than them for sure, that anxiety that you're dealing with, it can not have a kill switch to it or something that you can actually turn off, because you don't know really what the plan is, or the plan is spaced out too far as how fast you'll be able to get to some relief. So that's why I say get a rocket under it. Start realizing exactly how you're going to get to your next stage and transition into your uniqueness, and then deal with that job as it is, as far as not allowing it to pull energy, because then you would know, okay, I'm doing this for this amount of time, and then I'm moving on. And that's the order to things. It sounds like to me you have a very leadership person, a very leading personality. And then that means that you need to understand more about just that leadership. So there's a whole world open for you. I'm going to give the space to someone else, but I just want you to know that this is a dynamic that we can get stuck in because we feel like we don't have any options. And this is why we gather tribe together, because where someone may not be aware of something, someone else is a master of it. And if you just know yourself, then all you're looking for now is just the link that connects you into the big thing. So realize that can happen at any moment is what I'm saying. Don't look at, oh, well, if it hasn't been the last 5 years or it wasn't yesterday, it doesn't mean that it can't be tonight. And what attracts you to this space? Like, what puts you actually right here on the line? Because there's a lot of calls coming in. And it's just, that's the connection in itself. So I just want to leave it like that. Of course, extend the welcome to you. Check out the Sovereign material. Get into that space, which I never finished saying earlier. I went off to cymatic reverberations, how you record spaces. But what I meant to say was we had contained sovereignty in physical sovereignty, okay? Spiritual sovereignty, that's all that last 10 years. But we contain the essence of physical sovereignty in those first recordings. It's in the air. It was what was being instructed to me and what I'm delivering to everyone else. And when you catch it, because it's that download, then it lets you know what to do. And then, of course, that's some recordings, that's digital stuff. You have real-time, fleshly, meaty bodies that are willing to communicate and willing to connect and have spaces for you to do things. So that's what I wanted to say without elaborating on exactly what that is. You know, checking out my brother Life, chess and community, like all the stuff that we're going to be doing, getting these kids onto a whole nother level, you know, gamifying their entire process so they have banking and money to take care of themselves, you know, working with inner city youth, you know, stop the whole grant writing and really get into, you know, where the money is and like where is the connection. So that's what's up. More people that we have, though, the faster that we can get to that. So just make that connection. And I trust maybe that's enough. So, you know, just to find, you know, let's just leave it at that. Make the connection and let's see what goes on, because I feel like I feel you. I know what's going on and we have solution. But also a big part of the healing, just for anybody else listening on this line that's experiencing that same thing, remember, it's going to hurt you more than it hurts anybody else that you're projecting it at. And those who work on that black and white are constantly trying to just draw that ignorant line like that really works. When, like I said, even in all of these nucleuses, you have to know history. You have to understand that even, you know, the difference again between Kemet and Nubia and in different areas. Like we run it all together in the American culture because our words run together. Look, we're studying Tamil over in Ambassador Training. There's almost 200 characters in this language. We have 26. So imagine how much we're really running together about the essence of who we are when language is just the body of the human being. So, you know, again, we just welcome you into the real body, though, the real Kabbalah. It's oral resuscitation, the connection between our tone and our vibration with each other. So thank you, sister, for bringing in that essence.
And yes,
answer questions
thank you
for
so
others.
much. And I did get my order of She Legit in today.
Yes.
And I also purchased some musical instruments.
All right. So it's tapping into that uniqueness more then. So there it is, you know, and, you know, giving yourself the space, but, you know, just know that you've got your brothers and sisters now. So we put the chat together there. You know, we want to get more coordinated. We constantly drill in. And so we're all over the place making major moves and things happen. So, but our goal always is, if we specialize in something, we don't want to make it harder on everybody else. We put our gift there and others do that same thing, and then we're living in the gifted space. So I trust that, you know, that's enough. You don't get me going on this, you know, I'm super excited all the time. So
and thank you, Amara, for connecting with us in this connection right now, and wholeness to you. And Brother Seven, thank you for that piece about, you know, black looking at white as if it's all one thing, or white looking at black. I really appreciate feeling into that one. So, but we're going to keep demystifying that whole game in these episodes coming up in these blogs. So we have our fifth caller, and we're ready for him now. His name is Michael, and he wants to go in on maybe the less popular Christ, the one that the Antichrist. Michael, wholeness.
Wholeness. How you guys doing today?
Excellent, brother. Thank you for being with us.
Amazing.
Thank you guys for everything you've done and everything you guys are doing. And yeah, I'll just get it right into the questions, because I know Seven likes to get into it. So let's get into it. I know, you know, that good and evil is pretty much the same whole pie, but I'm wondering, like, what the Antichrist really has, like, what's his role in this whole thing? Like, because I know what the Bible says about it, but, you know, what is he actually doing? Like, what is he, you know? Like, is he just a human that attained? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I got it. Well, first of all, you know, I love those one-line answers. What is that? The Antichrist? Is it the Antichrystal, or like, what are we talking about? No, I would just say this, just to, you know, rapid fire here and make it very, you know, crystalline, because we have a lot of stuff that's been going on and a lot of things that you can dial into that really propel you. Now, if you want to understand just this Antichrist myth, you only need to understand that when you turn something upside down, that's it. Like in all of what we're dealing with. You guys may hear me, you may hear me say this again, but tomorrow I'm going to begin the conversation with talking about how in Kemet, for us, what is up is down. So in Kemet, the upper Egypt is down there, right? It's Nubia, what we would call down. And then lower Egypt is up there, what we would call up. So technically, because in lower Egypt was the underworld, it would say the further you go that way, you're getting deeper into the underworld. So that would place United States in the underworld. So the reality is here is that the knowledge systems that are coming out are so turned upside down from what the real truth to those structures are. That's the antichrist or the anticrystal, because what an anticrystal would be is basically when a crystal grows in a distorted form. It doesn't grow in its symmetrical patterns. And that's what you're talking about. So anything could be the antichrist. It's not something that's specific to be identified. It's more of like a collective force or a collective word that we use when those, well, we can't even say someone specifically, but anyone that is taking something that is upright and turning it upside down and confusing it. So it's just as simple as that.
Okay, so you could just say that pretty much Antichrist would just be, you know, like what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to be like on this earth. If that makes sense.
What I'm saying, well, okay, so this is where the forked tongue comes in, because nothing, that's why we say all is self. Like any of these things that you can create are just other variety of self. So you want to simplify this. What I'm saying is that what an because, okay, the term Christ, understanding where this crystalline word is coming from, the Christ, this is all a reference to geometry, okay? And in this geometry, it's like the crystal symmetry patterns you could just see, let's say, as a tetrahedron. These are real shapes you see. This is not some cult spell book or just, you know, that came later on. This is what you look at when you go under a microscope. So when it's not growing properly, you have basically, this is what makes crystals or diamonds expensive. This is what makes a quality in gems. It's how well the shapes are formed. This is even what makes certain substances more powerful than others. It's how well the crystals are formed. So when we're saying, hey, is that what I'm supposed to be? I would say in ignorance, we would start off as an anti-crystal, let's say. And then as we become wise, we will become a Christo. And it's just as simple as that. And now trying to make it out of a boogeyman or a specific force or something wearing a dark coat that's hanging over the entire world and all of that, that's the X-Men version of the entire thing. So we always want to internalize these forces so they don't get bigger than we are, come to understand them as being a part of ourselves. Oh, that's the distorted me. And then solving it, moving on.
Okay. Okay.
Awesome.
And I just want to, that's it for my question. And I just want to thank you again, Seven, and thank all of you, really, you know, everyone that's listening, everyone that's on here. I just want to thank you, Seven, particularly for, you know, I was listening to you. I just remember one time I was listening to you, and this is the first time I had a spiritual, like experience. Like I had my Kundalini rose, like as you were talking about it. So I just want to thank you and thank all of you for everything. And you guys stay whole. Stay whole.
Thank you, brother.
Wholeness, Michael. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're on brother.
So we have another caller. This is regarding time travel and how to assist in time travel. The caller's name, I believe, is Tierra. And just throwing a little tidbit there. This reminds me, Brother Mark, in your honoring earlier, you said with the breath, just a simple breath, we can change our timelines. But wholeness, Tierra, welcome.
Wholeness and balance vibrations to you.
Wholeness.
Wholeness.
Wholeness, sister. You're on.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask Seven. I listened to a video and he was talking about he met his future self and he was like in a spaceship, and you know, he just gave the whole scenario of what happened when he met his future self. And I just haven't been able to successfully time travel. And if there's an in short answer, then, you know, I would like some insight as to how to complete that successfully.
And I'm going to really rapid fire this one and just answer. The interesting thing is somehow I got around to this exact same thing before the conversation in relation to how I was going to go into tomorrow's show. And I wanted to really summarize like a lot of the conversational drama that happens just in protocols by, you know, if you could ever come into a conversation and just shut everybody down by saying, look, I went to the future and I saw how it was. And I'm here to fix that. I'm not here to actually talk about it. And so what I mean by that is that it's like if you looked over the shoulder of probable futures of yourself, it's not actually really hard. Like they say, we have a RAN. Naturally, this is where our mind connects to our spirit. And we can kind of visualize what 5 years would be like, 10 years, 50 years inside of our consciousness as it currently is, and also in the space that we're in. And so what I like to do in all of this, because traveling to the future, traveling to the past could all keep you out of the present space, is use the power. And that, this has been a theme of the conversation tonight, because what I saw only was a product of what wasn't done now, which was like in itself, it's almost like maybe it's just a system. You see a future as it is fast forwarded from where you are now, but what changes it is the now. So it's like, that's why I'm encouraging everyone to actually get involved from a level of get out of our brains. Like it's a big game being played here, and it's going on in the brain. And we have these other parts of our body that are virtually not used. Do you notice how difficult it is for a person to actually keep up a regimen of workout these days? Like, it's just the lack of using our real skills and our real unique abilities. I've taken the backseat. And then this metaphysical plane that nobody can actually say they all have the same thing going on there. It's just way too creative in there. That takes the forefront. And this is supposed to be the spiritual world we're dealing in. Now, if we look at what the masters are saying, like Sergio Magana, Toltec dreaming, the sixth sun coming in, it says now we're going to pull so deep internally from whatever is going to happen in this world that we are going to only realize that we have whatever that stuff is made out of, whatever is that essence and connection that we have when we're around each other. So it's almost like we're weaning ourselves off of a certain kind of life, and we're opening up into this new space. And so give yourself time to be here, and know that if you saw the future and you tapped into your future self, this is what it would be like. It would be, because it's always broadcasting. This is what you also need to understand. What is your future self? The last conversation was about the crystalline. It's an actual transmission. It's an actual frequency. So when you're doing things that connect you into that space, like Sven was saying, like, hey, when you get on this high vibration, then those ancestors that are on high vibration then can connect with you. And man, you don't even have to worry, well, is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Is it a demon? Is it nothing? That all you have to do is work on your own vibration, and nothing that is distorted can even come or touch that vibration. So it's just working towards that, and that will activate that future self and that line of communication that comes from the future self, so that you can see what those probable futures are that you're creating in real time. So this would be, in conclusion, like rendering. If you're familiar with rendering, when you're working in some software and you're building out a three-dimensional framework and it takes some processing power, which is pretty much what goes on in this reality, you need to sometimes see what it looks like as it is now. So you hit this button called render, and it goes through this process where it takes it into the perfected form, or what would be the perfected form at that stage. This is what it's like to look into the future. So if I hit render right now, it's going to show me a future based on the decisions that I'm making right now. And I'm good with that future. So I'm pressing on. That's what I use that ability for. Not to necessarily see myself and say, wow, this is what happened, because that's not necessarily what you get. And unfortunately, because English uses so many words to explain the same things, it has our consciousness ultimately confused about these higher things, these higher values. So, I trust that gives some insight about just what time travel really looks like. Oh, lastly, since we're talking about time travel is only a computational, it's a computation in itself. Since all can be broken down to letters and numbers, the supreme beings created these worlds by merging the letters and the numbers. So what time travel is really probabilities. And how it works is, if you have, first of all, you have your own mechanism. You do it every single day. If I jump in the road, I'm going to get ran over. This is a probability. So the more you get into the mainframe, let's say the quantum state of consciousness, where you connect with everything and you have less division, you can go into that same framework and do these computational things about how to get probable futures. And this is what I do all the time. How do we reach sovereignty 2020? It's like, well, first grab potent chemicals, like get the most potent, powerful things that you can learn about. So it's just like those rudimentary building blocks are the keys to actually learning what forms the architects actually build in. And so that's like building the future rather than seeing the future. So I trust that makes, as much sense as time travel can make.
And I thank you, Tara, for being with us. Thank you for your question and wholeness to you. And just to ground this on another major focus of ours, I feel like any idea of the future also includes the children and raising the children. And we do have a question from a very cool name. It's Universally DJ gave us this question. They say they're raising an indigo child. And my caveat is indigo child, any kind of child, every child is really what my focus is on with this question. But they're asking, how do I help her understand, herself so that she can continually feel her power? And if no one jumps in, I would say, is this something? I would ask the person asking the question, is this something that you do? Are you feeling your own understanding of self?
When you're dealing with kids, like love is always the answer. That shall always be for all of us the first thing that comes out of our mind. Sometimes, we can be so detached in this world and all of what it presents as stimulus. Journeys like our brothers came through, and they came through with the grandfather. And substances that even had to pull us closer to our own families from the detachments that we suffered by just trying to adapt to this system. So always remember, just as a mother, your greatest power is really your love. And when even we're talking about all these spiritual forces, what I'm really attempting to do tonight to explain to people is that Kundalini really only came here to create children. And the process that she's teaching is how to raise those children. And we talk about Kalis and Shaktis and even all the way to Saraswatis and Brahmins. We're only talking about the correct processes in which we grow. So we just have to reinstitute this knowledge into that space. There's some nucleus stuff, so I would recommend that you join the Discord chat with the children to see what individual parents are doing in the instructive way to actually get their children more involved in the connection. Also, there's family nights in Ambassador Train that we do, and the kids have their own breakout room, and the brother comes in, teaches them instruments and things like that. So those universal connections, as they always say, if you're looking for a book, you should go to a library. Bring the child into the spaces, or create the spaces that are what you want them to be when you distill it down to its essence. So I know someone's here, there's some parents here, so there's a lot of folks to say some things, but that's the advice that I would give on that, just from a personal parent perspective.
All right, brother. Well, we have no more callers. I feel like we went in tonight.
It's gonna be 11 o'clock over here. I didn't even look at the time.
I feel like, yeah. I know we're about to wrap it up. I know we're not the best at saying goodbye. Would you like just a final kind of question about this connection that we're all experiencing, or should we just
a final response?
Bask in it?
Well, we always going to go out with our meditation the same way we came in. So, that's going to close us out. I just wanted to say to everyone, especially those who participate in the call today, thank you so much for your input. Your input is a resource. We do value it. We do honor it. And we are working also for those questions that were answered to be answered in a specific place, which will be our help desk, just to get these questions out, even when we're not there to answer them. So that is a major effort. Also, again, OMS launches on Sunday. You will get emails if you're a member of Secret Energy. Just check out the design and see what we're talking about in relation to how you can utilize these technologies to bend to the will of consciousness rather than vice versa. You know what I mean? Because everything is just a tool that you have to apply yourself to. So I just want to say also thank you to these amazing Keymakers on the line with me. I mean, come on, I know I'm in here doing my thing, but man, just to be able to dial it back sometime and really not say nothing sometimes, and let someone that is really proficient and has mastered and is in that connection to come forward and do that is just amazing to me. Jeanette, we've always looked forward to this. So this is a beautiful time for all of us. So I just wanted to say, much respect. As they say, the divine in me recognizes the divine in you. That is the truth. And also to this audience, wow, a lot of people have just shared so much energy and space with us for this period. So we can't do nothing but continue to deliver, so that's how we're really rolling, encouraging each other. So I'll go ahead and turn this over to Brother Mark, and we'll go ahead and, go into our space and plug in, and then we keep going from there. Like he says, we'll always stay connected, regardless of what's going on in this time.
Thanks, man. Give thanks. Man, let's remember that we are always time traveling, and that with intention we step into those highest possible timelines, just step by step until we step outside of time, accessing that space that already exists for us. And so, with that being said, let us again put ourselves in that proper position, because we fly together, So we'll go ahead and get seated on the root of our spine, on the coccyx. Let your hips relax as the pelvis tilts slightly backwards, letting the coccyx just rest gently. Palms facing upwards towards the ceiling, so resting on our thighs or on our knees. And just taking a deep inhale through the nose, inhaling everything that's been brought forward today. And exhale. Release, letting it propel you forward. Inhale again. And release. Inhale. And release. Let us go full circuit breathing once again. And so follow me. This time we'll start in the mouth, out the mouth, in the mouth again, out the mouth again, in the nose, out the nose, in the nose again, out the nose again, in the mouth, out the nose, in the mouth again, out the nose again, in the nose, out the mouth, in the nose again, out the mouth again. Continue this rhythmic breathing in the nose, out the mouth, gently yet deeply. Filling the belly up with air, allowing the belly to soften on the inhale and the exhale. We give thanks and we honor all the questions that have been brought forward today from the heart space, received, given and received, shared. All the answers and solutions brought forward today in this now moment. We give thanks for us ancestors working in the invisible spaces. We give thanks for our awareness of these spaces. We give thanks for this massive connection throughout time and beyond time. We give thanks for these rapid shifts in an instant. We can shift to a more balanced space together. And in this togetherness, we share this massive energy collectively. We all awaken accessing our highest perfected selves. And as you inhale, bring your awareness to your heart space again. As you exhale, expand the space. Set the intention to just truly digest and process all that's been brought forward here today. In this transmission, in this exchange, this beautiful interaction. Inhale, open your heart more. Expand on that exhale. And we give thanks for the four elements working within us and around us in tandem. We give thanks for this unified clarification and this energetic propulsion. Give thanks for this collective healing, the sharpening, the refinement of self, acknowledging and honoring each one of us as the central character within our experience. This entire projection is of promoting knowing self, knowing thyself. Bringing that to the forefront so we can all delight and enjoy and cherish it. Aho. Sending love to everyone on this line. When you're ready, you may flutter those eyes open. The space is always accessible, always present, always with you, always there.
Yes.
We're with you.
Aho, brother. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I love this tribe. I love everyone in this connection. Thank you. And brother Bomar, you want to let us know where you'll be? Is it tomorrow? If we're using words still, where they can
tomorrow,
where we can find
we're going
you.
to be on True Frequency Radio. Looks like it's going to be 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Since that's why I took the banner down, because they had readjusted the time. So you'll see the notification of that tomorrow. We're going in, Children of the Sun, or whatever, Tribe of the Sun, or whatever we're calling it. We're just going to keep it going from tonight. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We love you. Stay on the vibe. Whatever's going on, just tune in out. Tune into your brothers and sisters. We create this space. It doesn't end in time. So thank you so much for being here. Also, again, to my beautiful Keymakers, thank you so much for making this possible and for building this collective force. It's truly, truly, truly inspiring. Wholeness, everyone.
Thank you, wholeness.
All right.
Wholeness, love.